Welcome back to the best division in football with your boys Awthentik and The Beard. The best television show not on TV. Tough week in the NFC East for just one team. That would be my team, the New York Giants. Only team to lose in the NFC East this week. The Eagles get the W against the Packers. The Commanders got that W as well, and the Cowboys took care of business, man, against our New York Giants, man. Now, the current NFC East standings, the Eagles are still sitting at the top at 9-1. The Cowboys are sitting at 8-3, right behind those Eagles, just about a game and a half back. The Giants, luckily, are still in third place here with the Commanders, who have not took their bye yet. Giants are 7-4, and the Commanders are sitting at 7-5 at the bottom of the division. But we already know, like I just said in the intro, this is the best division in football. The NFC East is rocking this year. I'm still a little bit under the weather, man. I don't know if that loss is kind of adding to what's going on with this flu situation I got popping off. But I told y'all on Twitter that the Beard is about to be having a victory lap with his Commanders. Y'all hear the theme song in the background. Let me turn it up for y'all a little bit. I already know when I cut to this, man, he going to be over here nodding his head all crazy one time. Salute to the best co-host in the country one time. My brother, your brother, the strong side to the left side, and the victorious Mr. Beard himself.
Left hand
My
up.
man. Left hand up. I still don't know what that shit means.
Well. Here we are, week 12. The Commanders are 7-5.
It's crazy. I was feeling real good. Let me give you that one time. I was feeling real good, man, when we had that lead. I think the Giants were sitting at 7-1. Man, we were feeling real good. I'm like, man, maybe we're going to make a push towards the top of the division. And, man, now, I mean, yeah, I'm definitely shaking in my boots right now. I'm definitely shook for my New York Giants, man. We've lost 3 of the last 4. The Commanders have won their last 3 straight right now. And, man, it's exactly what we wanted, bro. This is what we wanted. We wanted a race to the division, see who could get in the playoffs. And right now, all 4 teams are sitting in the playoffs right now for the NFC East.
Listen, we talked about this briefly early on in the season, right? We were like, what could happen? Can all 4 teams make the playoffs? Just because right at that point where it was like, okay, Washington won a couple of games. We were still one game under 500, but everybody else in the NFC wasn't quite, there yet either. Yep. And the way that it just the last couple of games have come down, and the crazy thing is we're not playing great football.
Right. Yeah, you're right about
that. That's what's it. The parallels between the New York Giants and the Washington Commanders is it's just so identical in so many ways. It's almost like we're winning games right now the way that the Giants were winning games early in the year.
It's a good point. It's a good point. Those close games. We know every victory for the Giants has been by 1 score this season.
Yeah, and the thing that's crazy is Washington. We don't like to live in woulda, shoulda, couldas here and ifs and all that, right? We like to focus on the what's really happening.
I haven't said that in a while too. If was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. I haven't said that in a while.
But I look back at the Minnesota game. I look back at the Tennessee Titans game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where we are now and where we actually could be is pretty interesting. And then listen. The Dallas Cowboys are a very intriguing team too. Because you see Dak and what they've been able to do when he's back. And those games that they won with Cooper Rush early in the season are
MVP,
so important.
Cooper Rush, right MVP right now. I'm telling you, went 4-1, and to have a backup quarterback do that is ridiculous. But I want to get to one point you said too. You said the parallels about the Commanders and the New York Giants. Even the big kind of upset win. You remember in the middle of the season, we had the Packers and the Ravens back-to-back, and I was looking at that like if we could come out of that with just one victory out of that, I will be ecstatic. And we end up winning both of those games. Now, you talked about the Minnesota Vikings game for y'all early on, and the Titans game as well, games y'all lost, but then y'all shocked the Philadelphia Eagles in front of the world on Monday night to really keep y'all in position in this division. And you're right, man. We're really parallel here. Now, it's all going to come to a head here. Down in MetLife Stadium, we're going to be taking on the Commanders this week. It is Commanders-Giants week, and y'all going to see us in 2 times in 3 weeks here with a bye in between. And we got 3 divisional games coming up, 2 against the Commanders, 1 with the Philadelphia Eagles in between. This is the stretch that everybody wanted to see in the NFC East.
Yeah, and the other thing too is Cowboys and Washington, right? Like everybody always says, oh, well, it's not really a rivalry anymore because, the Washington's not good and, Dallas has basically won the majority of the recent games and blah, 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 blah. That last game of the season is looking like it's going to be pretty. Let me tell you, the last time Washington and Dallas, from what I can remember, last time Washington and Dallas played each other last game of the season, I was there. And it was cold as all cold can be.
I thought you was going to throw a nod to MOP one time and say it was
cold as ice.
Yeah,
I should have sung that. All right, rewind. It's cold as ice. But no, it was freezing cold. And my sister, who was a Cowboys fan, we had standing room only tickets at the time at FedEx, and that was RG3, Alfred Morris, and we won that game and won the division. So. Yeah, Jason Ferris already knows in the chat. So, yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting stretch here to the season. I'm super excited about it.
It really is. And I'll tell you something about the Dallas Cowboys, too. A lot of people weren't as high on the Dallas Cowboys, just a couple of weeks ago, right? Dak Prescott comes back off that injury. They're playing great football on offense. I want to say they're the number one scoring team in the NFL right now since Dak Prescott has came back. And all of a sudden, all that Super Bowl talk starts to happen again. And I don't know if this is just like, like taboo with the Dallas Cowboys. It's like every year they want the Cowboys to be a Super Bowl team. And it's not just Dallas Cowboys fans. It seems like the media starts these narratives. You know what I mean? Like as soon as they start winning some games. And now the Cowboys are looking like a front runner. And I mean, they're just a game and a half back from the Philadelphia Eagles, man. And I think they can make a run. For my Giants, I'm extremely worried right now. We're extremely injured. I'd say of the 4 teams in the NFC East right now, the New York Giants have been dealing with the injuries the most, and we're really taking a hit because of that. I won't blame the losses solely on that, but when you got 10 guys that are out of the lineup, 10 people that are in the rotation as far as starters go, being out of the lineup, it's going to be hard and very difficult to win games, and we're seeing it now with the Giants. 3 of their last 4, man, and the Texans game was not easy. Every game for the New York Giants, for the most part, I want to say, has been a one-score game. I think the only game that wasn't a one-score game was the first matchup between the Cowboys. Every other game has been a one-score, either win or loss for the New York Giants. So we've been playing that tight kind of football, and, it just seems that if 1 or 2 things would have gone a certain way in certain games, I mean, the Giants could be sitting at the bottom of the division looking like the team that most people expected them to be, maybe a 5-6 win team on the season, but instead got some close victories there, beat some really solid teams, man. I really go back and I look at that Packers game and I look at that Ravens game as pivotal points in the season right now, and it's important that the Giants get healthy here, man. We know Adoree Jackson's out. We've had Evan Neal out. Offensive line's been banged up. The secondary, 3/4 of the secondary was out for this last game. So we got to get healthy, man, if we're going to try to make this run, because here it comes, man. We got, 5 more NFC East games here for the Giants, man. You got to find a way to come out of this stretch with some victories for sure, because we're sitting at 0-2 in the division right now, and we're the only team that doesn't have a win in the entire NFC East right now.
It's the thing is too, is like the teams are so close. They can win and they can lose so many different ways, right? And what's really interesting is you look at it like common opponents. Like everybody beat the Packers except for the Cowboys, and it's like the Eagles have beat everybody except for the Commanders, and it's just like the Commanders and Giants games 2 in 3 weeks. Like it's almost like the NFL had a feeling about the NFC East this year.
You were shouting out Jason Ferris, and we used to have a conversation on Facebook like a couple years back where he used to think, like, he's like, yo, Awthentik, I swear to God, the NFL's rigged, bro. I promise you it's rigged. He was telling me, I was like, nah. But I will say this. I was kind of like looking at the schedule gods like, y'all blessed us as far as the teams we got to play, but the way y'all kind of arranged this schedule, I didn't like the way that all these NFC East games were packed down at the end of the schedule here. But now that we're actually here, I think it makes it that much more exciting. And to try to make an attempt at being the first 4 teams from one division to get into the playoffs, I'm here for it. It's going to be an exciting end to the season.
I'm really kind of like looking at the schedule and looking at things like, can it happen? I mean, listen, you and I talked about this a little bit. San Francisco 49ers. Like, I think the Seahawks are starting to come back down a little bit, but the San Francisco 49ers, I think they're well on their way here to making the playoffs.
Yeah, that move for CMC was a good move, and it seems like everything around them now is clicking just that much more. I've had George Kittle on my fantasy team the entire year. He was banged up, obviously, but then when he got back healthy, started off with a couple slow games there, and now that you got CMC in the backfield, it just changed for everybody. Brandon Ayuk's balling out over there now. I'd say Deebo Samuel's the one who really hasn't quite gotten it all the way together, but he had a decent game this past week as well, too.
Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting run to the playoffs, and I think it's going to come down to the final weeks. Now, one more thing before we say shout-outs to everybody, all the lovely people in the chat is, Awthentik and I want to remind everybody, okay, there is more than 2 games left in the season, okay?
Yeah, we definitely seen that going around on Twitter a lot. People are just thinking like, for one, I don't know why people are just thinking like one team's going to sweep the other. That I'm not saying it can't happen. But, at the end of the day, these 2 games against the Washington Commanders, they're important games. But I don't think one team or the other is going to be completely out if they lose those games. I mean, look at the rest of the NFC conference. There's so many teams that are falling back. I think the Atlanta Falcons are the closest to y'all in the 7th seed right now, and they're 2 games back behind y'all. So even if y'all do lose 2 games.
Seattle maybe.
Or Seattle possibly, right? Yeah, Seattle's 1 game behind y'all now.
Yeah.
Now, what's the division winner? It's going to be the 49ers that's going to win that division, right? Most likely. Yeah, so you got the Seahawks in the mix as well, too. But I do think that, the 2 games are super important, right? But outside of those 2 games, you got to go handle business as well. There's a lot of other games out there. I mean, look at the way the Colts performed, last night against the Pittsburgh Steelers. That offense looks like they can't do jack right now outside of Jonathan Taylor. And I do think that game could have been a little different if Taylor doesn't fumble on the 1-yard line. But I look at them as a game that the Giants, it's a winnable game. The Vikings is another game for the Giants. You look at the way the NFC East as a total has played against the Vikings. We've all played them pretty well. Y'all were in that game. The Cowboys straight up blew the socks off the Vikings, and then the Eagles took care of the Vikings in the first half. And we know that every team in the NFC East can compete with every other team in the NFC East, barring injury, hoping that they're, healthy and whatnot, because the Giants game against the Cowboys here this past Thanksgiving, that the score was 28-20, but the game was not as close as it appeared. We're going to get into that for sure.
Absolutely. So big shout outs to everybody who is watching us right now, obviously here on the YouTubes, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up while you guys are here. We definitely appreciate y'all rocking with us on this Week 12 recap. We got to give a big shout out to, he got 4 shout outs last show, okay? We got 4 last show. A big shout out to Coach Taylor. First in the building. I watched some Friday Night Lights. Man, I've been going back and forth. Wire, I watched like 2 or 3 episodes of The Wire until my wife falls asleep. When Josie falls asleep, I'm like, I don't want to get like too far ahead in The Wire, even though I've already seen it like 6 times, because she's watching it with me for the first time. So I'm like, all right, let me switch over to Friday Night Lights. So then I watched a couple episodes of Friday Night Lights, and I'm just like, man, football's good.
That's definitely how it is with the wifey. You already know it's like you can't be too ahead of a series. You got to pace things, watch things together. You know what I'm saying? Don't be watching no movies without wifey and then telling her about them. She's going to be extremely upset about that.
No. And then don't get caught when you end up having to watch it after you've already watched it. And then she'd be like, well, have you already seen this before? No, I don't know what you're talking about. And, big shout out to Stan the Man in the building. Appreciate you. As always, Kevin, the PRF, he's 3rd in the building. Might bull rush over you two to first like Brian Robinson Jr. Ooh. Shout out to the Big Hats. The Big Hats are making all the noise right now.
Yeah, I saw Scott Manpel was rocking one on Sports Center after the game yesterday. Them joints are hilarious. I might have to copy one of those.
We might need an Awthentik and The Beard. Actually, you know what? Just an RTDB. Big hat.
Great idea.
Big shout out to the Bays boy holding it down for the Commanders. What's up, y'all? HTTC, let's go. Appreciate you stopping by as always. SHU Carter's in the building. Says Giants are slowly getting healthy again. We may squeak this game out. Let's go, Giants. Appreciate you stopping by. Mellow Wick is in the building. Giants for life.
Wick. You know that is all. You know it. That is all. That's all that needs to be said. You know what it is, man.
And you already know what you got to do for this one right here.
Michael Knight in the building. What's up, fam? How you living?
Big shout out to Renee. Appreciate you stopping by as always, brother. And my man Yam from Japan says, morning, fellas. Morning to you, Yam. Thank you for stopping by.
Salute.
Early morning all the way across the world in Japan. Big shout out to one of our Cowboy residents, Kai001. Says, what's up, family? Is getting to the nitty-gritty of the season. Which teams are built for that playoff push? It's going to be interesting. I'm going to bring this up in the Eagles one. I'm glad you said that, Kai, because I saw some ludicrous stuff on the Twitter sphere that needs to be brought up. And big shout out to Jason Ferris in the building. Says, hail to the Commanders. Appreciate you stopping by as always. Sebastian is in the building. Says, was bumping one day and I got the noti. Shout out to Sebastian holding down the authentic vibes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In the headphones. Appreciate
That's one of my
Sebastian.
vibes. That's definitely one of my favorites on that project too, man.
Yes,
Salute.
I think a lot of people love that song for sure. Big shout out to Renee for the $5 super chat. Says December football LFG. Let's go. Let's go. Hey, big shout out to Frankie Franchise.
Okay.
Hashtag Cowboys Nation. New
like
to the
it.
show, but I mess
like
with
it.
y'all.
Salute to Frankie one time, man. Welcome to the
appreciate
fam, brother.
you stopping by, man. It's always good. Now, the NFC East, or should I say Beast, is going to start bringing out some folks to the best division in football here at Awthentik and The Beard.
Facts,
the best
man.
television
Facts.
show not on television. Big shout out to Benny, always holding us down. We appreciate
What up,
you, Benny, for sure. We got some more Cowboys fans in the building. Texas boy. You know, Texas boy always got something to say. Washington versus Giants battle for third place and 6th seed in the wild card. Big shout out.
Feeling swaggy.
Yeah,
I like
always. Big shout out to Sly Cooper. We appreciate you stopping by.
What up, Sly?
Sly. And in case I miss anybody else, I see Flem Dog. We see Vintage Sport Flips. If y'all don't know, make sure y'all follow Vintage Sport Flips.
Facts.
They blessed us and sponsored us for one of the craziest giveaways that we've done all year. And don't forget, we will be giving away another giveaway this Thursday at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got to give a shout out to Giants Mafia. Giants Mafia, we need your information so I can send you this Darius Slayton autographed card.
Facts. Yeah, I hope Giants Mafia's in the building, man. Make sure to send us that Addy so we can get that out to you, bro.
And then I see Cernock in the building. Big shout out to Cernock. And then, we worldwide here. We are worldwide here. Tuto! He's in the building with a $4.99 super chat. Says massive salutes and thanks to Duo Kings, Beards, and Awthentik. And for all Giants fans around the world, slap all stinky boys, losers, outer, front, dough. Hard and fast. Salute, Italy. Shout out to
Tudo, man. Salute. I was thinking about Tudo today as I was watching the USA. Make sure I say this right before they attack me. Defeat Iran. You saw the press conference. Think about Tudo in that one, man. Shout out to Tudo one time, though, man. And shout out to USA for getting that victory today, man. 1-0. It came down to the wire, man. That thing was getting a little hectic in the last couple minutes in extra time there. I was kind of like, man, they might blow this game here.
Yeah, so USA on to the round of 16. Quick recommendation. If you guys haven't seen the USA-Mexico rivalry soccer documentary on Amazon Prime, it is definitely a really good watch. I think it's 3 episodes, but I watched it with Josie's dad the other night. Really, really good. So super interesting, too.
I gotta check that out.
The evolution of USA soccer and Mexico soccer, it's crazy to think about. Where we were and where we are now, it's pretty wild. So shout out to the Team USA. Oh, we got to bring this one up before we get to the next super chat. Shout out to Ref the District. Always holding us down. If y'all not following, subscribe to Ref the District. Make sure y'all subscribe to them. It says time for Stoner to prove to Awthentik the Giants record is fraudulent.
Even with the 4 losses, man. Hating on my Giants over there, man. Shout out Ref the District, man. That's fam right there.
And big shout out to Jason Ferris for the $7.77.
That's the first right there, the $7.77.
Beard's always got the freshest Super Bowl hat. Trapped in time, 30 years. Number 2, still think NFL is fishy for the casino. Awthentik.
Something ain't right, yo. Something ain't right. I feel you. Them Vegas odds be a little bit too accurate, yo. A little too accurate.
Oh, and one more. Big shout out to Cernock. Says, I might have some Washington, New York vintage gear to donate for giveaways.
Yeah, I'm going to have to, create me a secondary account, be in that chat. Let me get that one time. Shout out Cernock, though. That'll be definitely what's good, bro.
And I thought Mellow Wick was a new name. Says, new to the show. Saquon is your favorite running back. Your running back's favorite running back.
I like that. I like
Giants
that. Kind of like Jay Dilla is your
Wick.
Producer's favorite producer. I like that.
And kind of like how, Awthentik and The Beard are your favorite podcaster's favorite podcast.
I like that, man.
But
All right,
we
you ready to talk
appreciate
about this game
everybody.
here?
Yeah, let's get right into it, my man.
All right, y'all. We're going to start with the Packers-Eagles matchup one time. All right, y'all. The Eagles now sitting at 10-1, defeated the Packers, who are sitting at doesn't really matter. They're not relevant here. Okay, 40-33. Good God! But the big news from this game was Aaron Rodgers, who left with an oblique injury. He had 2 interceptions before he was knocked out of the game. But man, we've been talking about this, man. Y'all know if you've been following Awthentik and The Beard, we ain't no haters over here, man. We give props when props is due. And Jalen Hurts, man, that boy is balling out, man. Hit the ground running right out of the gates. He had 2 20-plus yard runs on third down to set up the opening touchdown by Kenneth Gainwell in this game. He rushed for 157 yards in this one, man. That's an Eagles franchise record regular season. He had 100 yards after the first quarter. I'm like, dang, Jalen Hurts is out here getting to it. And I always talk about this when I'm talking about my New York Giants. I talk about, you know, the windows, and the Beard is familiar with this. You know, I had 2 Haitian parents, right? And for some reason, they didn't think I was responsible enough to have a key to the house. So when they weren't home, the Beard knows. He would have to lift me up sometimes through that window in the kitchen so that I could slide that window open and dive through that window. And Jalen Hurts, man, he been diving through these windows, man. I thought the big window came in with just 2 minutes left in the first half. Hurts drives the Eagles down the field. He hit Quez Watkins for a touchdown with 13 seconds left to go up 27-20 right before the half. The opening drive for the second half for the Packers, the Eagles hold them to 3 and out. And then the Eagles get the ball back, and Jalen Hurts, man, they go 11 plays, 86 yards, 5 minutes, 23 seconds for a touchdown. To me, it was one of the biggest difference makers in this game to go up 34-20. And I know the Packers got this game a little bit closer towards the end, but Miles Sanders also had a big part in that drive as well. He had the big 21-yard run coming out the gate in the second half. He rushed for 143 yards, 2 touchdowns on 21 attempts. The Eagles, man, their scoring drives, big scoring drives in double digits here. They had 3 drives all in the second half. They went 11 plays, they went 14 plays, they went 10 plays, all for scores. Eagles ran for a grand total of 363 rushing yards. It's the most rushing yards against the Packers since 1977 when they played the Chicago Bears. They outgained the Green Bay Packers 500 yards to 342 yards. The Beard, I think I gave him enough nuggets to start off that segment. You tell me what you think was the difference maker in this game for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, I mean, Miles Sanders and Jalen Hurts combined for, I mean, that's like 310 yards, 300 yards. I mean, it's just, it's insane. 4 touchdowns on the ground, or 4 touchdowns total. I mean, you know, Hurts threw for 2 touchdowns and Miles Sanders ran for 2 touchdowns. It's just the Eagles can do these things. You know, they can win. This is the Eagles team that most people thought you would see a lot of, right? But they haven't had one of these crazy rushing games in a little while. So, you know, it just goes to show you that they can win in multiple ways, which is what makes them such a scary team. No, obviously, we wouldn't do it justice if we didn't give a shout out to our new favorite wide receiver here on Awthentik and The Beard, a guy that I've been talking about since the day he was drafted. And I've been telling you guys, no, not Davis Sills. A young man by the name of Christian Watson. Christian Watson with another big game, you know, obviously in a losing effort, but it's just fun to watch. And I think that, you know, they got a guy, it just took him a little bit of while to get adjusted, I think, to some things, but he showed up again. He had a big game. But the early turning point, because you talked about one turning point and one window
before you
already.
move on from Christian Watson, though, real quick, you know what I liked about him in this game?
What's that?
He's been killing people over the top, right?
Yeah.
That's been his way. This one, it reminded you a little bit of that Odell Beckham slant against the Ravens. Goes across the middle, gone.
Love it.
I tweeted out right then. He showed
his speed.
He showed his speed, man. He really showed his speed. And if you can beat teams with those 2 types of routes, you can be a wide receiver that's going to cause a lot of damage in this league, because we know it's a lot of guys that can, you know, take the top off defenses with the 9 routes and all that, the deep post routes, 7 routes and all that. But when you could go across the middle like that and turn the burners on like that, and a 68-yard touchdown or something like that you can be a real threat in this league as a wide receiver.
And he's still tall as could be. He's a huge red zone target. So, his versatility is going to be something that, that division is going to have to worry about, I think, for a few years to come. And when Dobbs comes back healthy, I mean, that's the two rookie wide receivers. I haven't said that in a long time.
Nobody say that rookie wide receiver like you say that rookie wide receiver. And you say for years to come, which is cool because the pass came from Jordan Love. It wasn't from the OG.
And that was a guy I'm going to talk about too. I thought Jordan Love looked good in relief. I have been a big Jordan Love supporter.
Yeah.
And I once said that he was going to be the next Patrick Mahomes when he was getting drafted. You did say that.
See, I haven't crossed this line that's like right here. I haven't crossed that line on Jordan Love just yet.
But it's interesting because he's the last one of that class now that hasn't really had his jump. You had Herbert and then Burrow, and then this year you got Tua and Hurts, and Love is going to be the last guy of that bunch that's going to really be making the big difference here. So it'll be interesting to see how things move forward with the Green Bay Packers.
For sure.
But that first interception that Aaron Rodgers threw was a breaking point, I think, and really just it put them in that 14-0 hole. The Eagles managed to get a touchdown off of that turnover, which proved to be really, really important. And then the Green Bay Packers throughout the rest of the game, 1 of 7 on third downs. I mean, it's just not going to cut it against a team
Eagles
like
were 8 of
Philadelphia
15.
Eagles.
Yeah, that's that. You can't win a game like that.
And it was crazy. This to me was the craziest stat. Y'all know RTDB here at Authentic and The Beard. We love run the damn ball, right? The Philadelphia Eagles ran the ball 49 times. Okay? Do you know how many total plays the Green Bay Packers had?
The Green Bay Hackers, they over there like. I like that.
Green
How many
Bay,
plays did they have?
49. The Eagles ran the ball as many times as the Packers had total plays.
That is absurd. That's absurd.
79 to 49 was the play total. 79 total plays for the Eagles, 49 total plays for the Green Bay Packers. That is an absurd nugget right there. That is like a deformed nugget. Like, how did we get this nugget right here? That is absurd. It's crazy. And listen, the Green Bay Packers, I thought they were going to run the ball a lot more in this game, and it looked like that early on. A.J. Dillon finally, put together somewhat of a game. Obviously, a lot of that came on that one touchdown run, but I mean, I've always liked the 1-2 combination of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. I think watching this game made me realize there's just not a lot of rhythm.
Yeah, with their offense,
in the Green Bay's offense. Like, they can't really find what they want to do. And when they finally figure out what they want to do, it's too late.
And I don't get to see, play-by-play every Green Bay Packers game. But when I do see them and when we played against them, the route concepts seem basic. Just seem real basic. They run that concept where they get those little out routes from the slot, and they just try to get the ball out of the quarterback hands fast. And then when they get down on the scoreboard, they're just trying to stretch the field. It just... this is why I appreciate what the New York Giants are doing with the coaching staff, because we are limited as far as talent goes. But if we had a guy like Christian Watson right now, golly, the way that the Giants run their offense, man, there's so many crossing routes, so much pre-snap motion, and they're designing these wide receivers to get open, where I feel like with the Green Bay Packers, they kind of just relying on the talent to really make the plays over there, and it's
like Aaron Rodgers' timing is going to be so good, it doesn't matter if we keep running these same sort of routes,
right?
Right. And that one to Randall Cobb though in the touchdown, that was vintage Aaron Rodgers. That was a really bullet. And the one interception, white boy Blankenship.
He said the white boy.
that was one hell of a pick. I mean, it's always interesting when they show you that back camera, right? And you see what the quarterback is seeing, and then all of a sudden it's like it's there, and then all of a sudden it's like white boy interception, and it's just he's it was crazy. It was a really interesting camera angle, but listen, the Eagles are a team where it's like right now, okay, like we've seen them, this game is kind of close. We've seen them in a couple other close games. The Colts mishap game, even though they won, and then obviously the loss to Washington. It's you have to play top tier football, and it's so important to keep that offense off the field and stopping the run when they are on the field. Because you see it
they did a horrible job of that. But there were some mistakes in this game. You can't forget about the A.J. Brown fumble now. And I want to say that's 2 weeks in a row. They're starting to see something that when he's running, he's not really protecting the football. And they bounced back from that. You know, A.J. Brown did have a touchdown in this game later on. I love it when I see a coach, see a player make a mistake, and then he go back to them. I love that. And I think Nick Sirianni, man, you know, a lot of people was clowning him when he got hired. He's starting to look like one of the better coaches in the league. And when I'm talking about, you know, these vanilla kind of concepts that you see from Green Bay, go look at the offensive line concepts from the Philadelphia Eagles. Their offensive line, not only do they have the talent, but the schemes are just ridiculous over there. And I also think Jalen Hurts is just the X factor. When everything around him seems to be going wrong, he's the one thing that just stays cool, calm, and composed and gets it done every game.
Yeah, and I think this was a good game for the Eagles and a good game for everybody else to see the Eagles play, because it just goes to remind you that, you know, don't forget that the Eagles can RTDB.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah.
And listen, this is the other thing that I wanted to bring up before I forgot.
Oh, yeah, the Twitter thing, right?
Yes, the Twitter thing.
My man.
Okay, just two tweets, right? The first one is somebody said on Twitter that the Philadelphia Eagles offense is not playoff offense. And I said, they just ran for 363 yards.
I know, right? And the weather's going to get cold.
After seeing that, that's what you walk away with? You walk away with thinking that the type of offense that the Eagles are playing is not sustainable offense in the playoffs? It's literally the scariest offense a team could have in the playoffs.
Yeah,
is
because
an offense that can run
beat
the
you
ball
in so many different ways, man. They didn't even have to rely on their tight end too crazy in this game. You know, they got so many weapons, so many different things they can do on that offense. The RPO, the read option. They got A.J. Brown on slants, bombs. Quez Watkins take off the top of the defense. We haven't even mentioned Devonta. That offense is full of talent, and their defense has probably the best secondary in the entire NFL right now. They got the interception leader. They got Slay and Bradbury at the corners. Where do you attack them? You got to run the ball. To me, that's the only way you can beat the Eagles. You got to run the damn ball.
And eventually they're going to get Jordan Davis back, I believe. I think he was only on short-term IR. I don't think he was on season-ending IR.
Right. That's why they brought in Sue and Linval Joseph.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So, I mean, that run defense is eventually going to, is going to be bolstered up again later down the stretch here. And the other thing is just because Jalen Hurts runs for 150 whatever yards doesn't mean Jalen Hurts won't beat you with his arm. Okay.
Right.
He still only has 3 interceptions all year long. There's only one quarterback that has less interceptions than Jalen Hurts right now, and that's Tom Brady. Okay. Jalen Hurts.
That's kind of impressive. Tom Brady. Damn. I didn't think it would be Tom Brady.
It is, Jalen Hurts.
Oh my God. He's taken off, man. Just like 3 weeks ago, they were saying, look at Daniel Jones' touchdowns and interceptions and look at Jalen Hurts' touchdowns and interceptions. He got 17 touchdowns through the air already, 3 interceptions, 67.3 completion percentage. That is extremely impressive. 2,560 yards on the year. His passer rating through the year is 105.6.
Which is probably top 4, right?
I'd imagine.
I'm pretty sure he's top 10 in every passing statistic right now in the National Football League. So
Michael Knight says the Jets have the best secondary in the league.
Debatable.
Maybe. Yeah, debatable. I'll give you that.
Debatable.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Eagles got a top five secondary. How about that?
Listen, I know y'all Giants fans, and I know everybody who's a fan of a team likes to, give excusable reasons for other players to perform well. Mike K, his receivers get open.
Yeah. Yo, I had a long talk with the homie Rob, who does a podcast with PTA Sports with Pest. And we went back and forth about Jalen Hurts for so long, right? And he just kept saying, trying to say, comparing the touchdowns pretty much to Daniel Jones. They're the same quarterback, blah, 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 blah. And I just said, bro, you got to just admit it. Just sit here and just admit it and just say, I don't like Jalen Hurts. Just say that. Yeah. If you say that, I can respect it all day. But when you say Jalen Hurts sucks, Jalen Hurts is garbage, Remember the narratives last year? We got to pump the damn brakes on that, dog. The car is falling apart now for y'all argument about Jalen Hurts being no good. He's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. And, which reminds me, before we get to that super chat real quick, I want to pose this question right here that I have for the chat right now and for you, The Beard. Does Jalen Hurts have a realistic chance to win the MVP award this season?
Can I answer now?
Yeah, answer now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, okay. All right. This is, you know how the beard does, where he likes to, move around on the question, right? With the
Here we
answer,
go.
okay?
Here we go.
Because immediately when I read it, I have that reaction just like that, right?
Right.
But then
You
I'm
gotta
like,
consider Patrick Mahomes.
damn, Patrick Mahomes. I forgot
Yeah.
about Patrick Mahomes. So yes, he has a realistic chance. I mean, if he gets down to it, his how many touchdown passes does Patrick Mahomes have? Like 25, something like that? 27?
He's got 29 and 8 interceptions. He has 1,000 more yards than Jalen Hurts right now.
How many rushing touchdowns though does Jalen Hurts have?
Let's see how many rushing touchdowns Jalen Hurts has. I don't think he has that many this year, actually. Let me just get to this. And you can pull up the super chat while I look for that.
Okay, so big shout out to my homie OBX Picker. We were live earlier today, and I was in the car, and we were talking about overrated and underrated cookies. He said, "What's up, my guys? 7-Eleven macadamia nut cookies on me."
Hey, I was sneaky in that stream during that time when y'all were talking about that, and all of them were saying, "Man, oatmeal raisin." I was like, I don't know about the oatmeal raisin being top notch, but the macadamia is definitely trumping the chocolate chip cookie. I will say that. That's my opinion. My girl would definitely disagree with that. She's like, "Oh, chocolate chip cookies all day, chocolate chip." The macadamia.
I think they were getting a good chuckle in off of the way that I was saying macadamia nuts.
Oh yeah, I saw them. They was getting you for that. And 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven.
But
right,
yeah, I mean, let's see. Because if you think about it like this, Jalen Hurts rushing and passing probably has close to the same amount of touchdowns as Patrick Mahomes. I would imagine.
I don't think so. Let's see though. He has, well, golly, maybe got 8 rushing touchdowns this year, and he's 3 yards away from 600. So let's just say total, he's somewhere around probably 400 to 600 yards, of total offense behind Patrick Mahomes. But here's the thing too, and I know they don't consider this a lot when they do MVP. They like literally remove the definition of what it means, the most valuable player to the team, right?
Yeah.
I think that Patrick Mahomes might be more valuable to the Kansas City Chiefs than Jalen Hurts is valuable to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, because there's so many different pieces like you talked about on the Eagles, especially defensively. Like with the Chiefs, I think it's even more like crazy for Patrick Mahomes this year because of the way people thought that he was going to play with Tyreek Hill leaving.
Right.
And like, yeah, they brought in Juju. Yeah, they brought in Valdez-Scantling. In midseason, they brought in Tony. They drafted Sky Moore, but like.
You saw the last game, bro, they had 3 tight ends out there on the field. The not this last one, but the one before where Kadarius Toney went out with the hamstring. They were lining up tight ends at wide receiver, and still Patrick Mahomes pinpoint accuracy, bro. Kelsey don't even be open on half of these throws, and Patrick Mahomes is squeezing it into these tight windows. I think he's got a realistic chance, but it would take like a bit of a, not a collapse, but just some worse play from Patrick Mahomes here down the stretch.
Yeah, it's just, to me, this is going to happen in every sport, every season. There's going to be a guy that has his best year, but there's just another guy that does something a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, look, in baseball, right? American League MVP, okay, was won by Aaron Judge, mainly because, he broke the home run record for American League, okay? Not the overall home run record, but, for American League. He went over 60 home runs. He broke Roger Maris's record. He was, top 5 in almost every major statistical category. But then you had Shohei Ohtani, who literally is doing something that nobody has ever done in the history of baseball.
You speak in German to me right now. I don't watch no baseball, but continue.
But baseball.
I know baseball.
You know baseball.
I was John
Shohei
Nice.
Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani literally could have won Cy Young and a batting title in the same year. That doesn't happen in Major League Baseball. So it's like it's just gonna happen like that. So. Does he have a realistic chance? If he continues to perform the way that he's performing, yeah, he has a chance. But unfortunately, there's a guy named Patrick Mahomes, and I forgot about that the way that I answered.
I saw the way you reacted. I was like, oh, he didn't put all that into consideration just yet.
Yeah. But I mean, big shout out to Jalen Hurts. But it's going to be interesting. This is, his last playoff game was that game against Tampa Bay, and I think he really learned a lot from that game. and you see it in his play this year, in his work ethic, the offseason and week-to-week basis. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how things go down the stretch.
And, getting the first round bye, if they do, sometimes you're at a disadvantage, man, because, teams get to kind of gear up through that first round of the playoffs, maybe make some mistakes that they can go back to the drawing board and correct. And then by the time they get to see you, the Philadelphia Eagles, in the second round, they're a little bit more prepared. We saw it with the Packers last year. They were the number 1 seed and ended up losing the first game in the playoffs. I think we've seen that. Did that happen with Dallas, too, the year before, maybe? Was Dallas ever a number 1 seed when they were 12-5 that one year? Can't remember. I think they might have been a number 2 seed, actually. I
think they were number 2 seed because I think that was the year Tampa Bay won it all, wasn't it?
Yeah, yep. And Dallas got knocked out in the first round. Yep, but they did have to play in the first round. But, yeah, just sitting, I think that might be a disadvantage. But I'm hoping that the Eagles can continue this run because my New York Giants need them to rest their starters that last week. Maybe we could sneak out another victory. And I see Steven Arts in the chat one time. This is a good one. We got to highlight this one time. Next week's recap, either left side is smoking that pack or strong side will be smiling ear to ear. That's facts. That is definitely facts, man. But shout out to the Eagles, man, for getting this W against the Packers. I think that was a really impressive win, statement kind of win for the Philadelphia Eagles. But, we're here to talk about one major game here, one major win, I would say, was in the title this week. Let's talk about my man, the Beard's Commanders, one time, who defeated those Falcons. And I tweeted this out after this game. It was the most mad I've been all damn season when the Atlanta Falcons failed there on the goal line. I really should have saved this, for when you get to rapping and whatnot. But maybe we'll put this one on loop. We'll see what happens here. But the Commanders end up defeating the Falcons 19-13. The Falcons now fall to 5-7. The Commanders take the 7th seed and they improve to 7-5. The Beard he's already hype over there. Let me turn him up just a little bit one time. The Washington Commanders definitely defeated them. Ron Rivera obtained his 100th win. And they also did the little reveal of the Sean Taylor Memorial, which a lot of fans were not happy about. It looked like a Foot Locker mannequin. I saw Pat McAfee talking about that today, man. They really dogged that whole ceremony. The one out I think they have is that maybe they'll be moving the stadium and maybe we can get like a bronze statue for Sean Taylor. He definitely deserves more. But Ron Rivera, he's the 7th active head coach right now to reach that milestone. And he's the 47th overall coach to get 100 wins. So that's definitely, big props to Ron Rivera for that one time. Washington has won 6 out of their last 7 games for the first time since 2012. Their 3rd consecutive win is the first time Washington has had 2 separate winning streaks of 3 or more games in the same season since 2005. Washington scored on their opening drive in this one for just the 2nd time this season. Their only other time they scored on the opening drive was week 1 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Beard asked for the Commanders to run the damn ball. They tried. This was a pretty good game for them, man. 176 yards, a season high for them. Brian Robinson, man, he's running a lot more. I'll say he's like a Mack truck going through these holes one time. You know how you used to ask when you see a Mack truck on the road, hey, pull that horn one time. Definitely doing that for Brian Robinson. The score was 10-10 at the half. Nothing else matters. The game came down to the final drive. Falcons had the ball on the Commanders' 2-yard line before Marcus Mariota was sacked for a 2-yard loss. So now they were set up for 2nd down and goal from the 4-yard line. And Arthur Smith, I talked about Arthur Smith coming back here to Washington. His dad was a co-owner. He decided to do his best impersonation of Pete Carroll in the Super Bowl and throw the ball. And the ball gets deflected at the line by Deron Payne and intercepted by Kendall Fuller. I damn near lost my mind. It was Kendall Fuller's 2nd straight game with an interception. And the Washington Commanders end up going on to win this game. And now I'm shaking in my boots. I feel like if Washington would have lost this game, I'd feel a lot better about my New York Giants, welcoming the Washington Commanders to MetLife Stadium this week. Instead, things are getting a little dicey here in New York. What were your thoughts on this? Let's talk about that roadmap. You talked about it a little bit off air. I want you to kind of reiterate that a little bit. What we talking with them Commanders one time?
Oh, okay. First of all, if you guys haven't seen the immaculate reaction video to the last play of the game, you can find that on my Twitter feed. I mean, listen, I was so I 100% thought we were going to lose at that point. I thought we were going to lose. It was so sketchy down at the end. But listen, Taylor Heineke, we got to talk about Taylor Heineke, guys. We got to, okay? He won. We won. Okay, so I guess he yeah, thank you, Beige Boy. Everybody likes those tropical pants in that video.
Oh
But
yeah,
yes,
them joints. You said those aren't pajamas.
they're pajamas.
Oh, okay. Maybe it was some other pants I saw on another episode where I was like, you was in pajamas in this episode. You was like, nah, these like my, my hunter pants or something like that.
But we won again, so Taylor Heineke will still be the starting quarterback. But I mean, obviously there was some Heineke moments here. You know, the interception was just, I mean, it was bad, horrendous. Okay, so and he missed Terry McLaurin in the back of the end zone again, being high. We talk about this time and time again. Taylor Heineke's faults outside of his athletic limitations are the fact that he's always, he's a stoner. He's always high and he's always late. Okay, with his passes.
Don't you dare put that narrative on my stoner friends. Don't you dare. They are always high, but they're not always late.
More times than others, Afro man.
Come on. Shout out to the 420 gang one time.
Yeah. I thought that it was interesting how they started the game with the play calls. Now, generally I get upset because I'm like a RTDB guy, run the damn ball. And here we are, it's pouring down rain and we're doing Taylor Heineke's passing the ball, but it worked really well on that first possession, which I think was a big part of why we scored on that first possession, because they were definitely not expecting it. The problem is that now, once you've done that, now after you did it, go back to running the ball. But they want it to be cute, and they try to do that a little bit more often, and it wasn't working. The offense was very inconsistent for most of the game until the better half of the game, when they started to actually realize, okay, we have to run the ball. And they started running the ball again. But I mean, Heineke again, he had the 2 touchdowns, but 14 of 23, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns.
You know what's wild about the stat line? It's not as bad as the game looked. He looked way worse than that stat line.
Yeah.
Like he looked really bad in this game.
Yes. Very, very, very bad. And then, obviously, shout out to the Heineke Hive on Twitter. It was raining,
Oh, we got to give him an excuse, right?
Oh, yeah. And then I told him, I said, oh, yeah, it's raining. Mike White said, hold my beard. My beer, not my beard.
Shout out to beard.
because he was out there slinging the rock in the rain. This is the NFL. This isn't Friday Night Lights. You gotta throw the ball in the rain too. That's how it's gonna be in the playoffs. You're gonna see rain. You're gonna see snow.
Remember that
sleet,
time we went
hail,
to go see
ice?
the Giants come to FedEx Field with Eli Manning in the rain, and Eli Manning just lit y'all up.
Yeah.
Good times. Good times, man.
Yeah. Coming up here in a couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah, it is. And y'all got the last victory over us. We were standing right next to each other. I can't believe my man Dexter Lawrence jumped off sides in that game. Give y'all a second chance.
It was
Even
pretty
though he really
crazy.
did jump off sides, but
pretty crazy. But Brian Robinson, like you said, this is Brian Robinson's best game of the season by far. Over 100 yards. I mean, he had some Marshawn Lynch-esque moments in this game.
Career high, too. Career high with 105. 5.8 yards per carry.
He was trucking people. So, it was great to see because, I'm a big Antonio Gibson guy. And they even used Jonathan Williams in this game, who had some nice runs in this.
Yeah.
But, Gibson was mixed in a little bit in the passing game, a little bit in the running game. I still wish we could see some more. I don't think they've perfected the rhythm yet of the 2 running backs.
You're right. And I jumped the gun last week, and I did say that. I was like, yeah, it looks like they're figuring out that balance between the 2 running backs. But it does seem like they have a bit of a dilemma here, because I can remember you were also saying that the heart of the offense was Antonio Gibson. And in this game, you saw Brian Robinson was definitely the pulse of this offense for sure. And it's the way that he's trucking people is so untraditional. It's not like, we've seen the Derrick Henrys, and obviously in New York, we've seen the Brandon Jacobs type of running style where it's like right at you, wow, right? Brian Robinson is just like bouncing off defenders. Like he's not full speed when he's trucking people. And I think his running style is kind of safe. The way that he trucks people is very safe. And you can't forget, he did have a receiving touchdown. It really sparked off the, I think that was the first touchdown for y'all in this game and really sparked the offense.
What was interesting was, and I think you and I talked about this a little bit on Twitter, was how they were using the running backs in opposite situations. Like they were passing the ball on the screens at times to Brian Robinson and then trying to run Antonio Gibson on 3rd and 1. It was just a little weird.
Remember y'all used to put McKissick in the beginning of the season. It'd be like you get 3 opportunities on the goal line to win the game, and you got McKissick in the game for three snaps. Scott Turner, man, Literally, dog. Like,
Yeah, he's a head scratcher.
yeah, man.
Yeah, I think so. He might be wearing the Brian Robinson big hat. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
facts.
Like it was a little weird, but obviously, once again, the defense stepped up. Now they did get gashed. Don't get it twisted. The Atlanta Falcons, and there's something about watching Marcus Mariota play football that I just really like.
Yeah, he's crispy for the most part when he's not making mistakes. I feel you on that. He's an interesting quarterback to watch.
I like the way he plays. Like he runs hard.
Just do like QB draw or something at the end. And if he would have just gave the ball on the first down read option that he had, if he'd have just gave the ball to Algier, he walks in.
Yeah, once again, these goal line Washington Commander games are getting a little bit much. Okay,
and this one wasn't luck. I will 100% say that this one wasn't luck. Because Deron Payne, I think he has career highs as far as pass deflections go this year.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this a lot. You know, if you're not going to be able to get to the quarterback, you got to get your hands up. Yeah, and it more times than others, it results in big plays happening. But like I said, we got gashed, and this is something that I think worries me a little bit moving forward, because I think you're going to start to see more and more teams do this, which might make the return, hopefully, of Cole Holcomb, you know, if he gets healthy enough to come off of IR at the end of the season, and, you know, Chase Young comes back, because you're going to start seeing these Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen triple teams. There were times, more times than not, where he shout out to for advising me to stick with Pierce or Robinson on the parlay. I still won.
Bad idea. Bad idea.
Listen, you know,
we are not financial advisors. We're not fancy.
We're like third down conversions. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we're not going to get them all.
Facts.
But
yeah, Pierce,
we're gonna...
man, 2 back-to-back games. It's like y'all put out the formula on him, man. God.
You know what happened? They started Kyle Allen at quarterback. That's what happened.
Yeah,
should have stuck with Davis
too.
Mills. That did not look good for them. But, I mean, the defense, Forrest.
Balling.
He's a guy. You see the jump where he took up Mariota? Yeah. One of them
my
jumps.
God. People were calling for a penalty on that. I'm like, man, that's a form tackle right there.
Yeah, he did it. He did it perfect. He didn't, drive him. He didn't fall on top of him. He just kind of, like one of them jumps. Yeah, oh, man, it was beautiful. And then, you know, he obviously had some big plays in the secondary as well. You know, he was all over the field. Big shout out to Kendall Fuller, who has been playing. And I think a lot of this, you know, I don't want to put it all on this, but the rise of Benjamin St-Juste, the departure of William Jackson, I think it's allowed Kendall Fuller to feel more comfortable in focusing on his responsibility. You know, sometimes when you play like earlier in the season, it's almost like you're playing concerned about somebody else not doing their job, and like you lose focus on what you have to do because you're worried about other people on the field. Yeah. So I think Kendall Fuller deserves a ton of credit because he, you know, stepped up. He made the big interception at the end of the game. Obviously, the deflection came from Deron Payne. Just, you know, that's what the defense is about. Obviously, Jamin Davis, you know, I had to defend this guy early on in the season. People wanted to call him a quote-unquote bust. And I'm just like, man, like, you know, let the guy he literally was barely a starter in college. I mean, sometimes people don't remember that these players aren't drafting themselves in the first round, okay?
Right.
The team is drafting them. You know, like, just because they got drafted in the first round doesn't always mean that they're going to come out and be Lawrence Taylor, Micah Parsons. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jamin Davis has stepped up incredible over the second half of this season so far. He's playing lights out football. He had 10 tackles in this game. Montez Sweat, once again, a guy who people just were not high on, and I kept telling him, hey, whoa, look at the numbers.
At this point is crazy, man. Like, when people continuously prove you wrong, you should stop doubting them.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. That
makes sense. He had 4 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 quarterback hits in this game.
Yeah.
And once
7
again,
on the season now, too, man. He's y'all sack leader as far as the
and his
goes.
sack came in the timing, man. Like that sack that he had was, you know, we're talking about 4 minutes left in the game sort of situation. He made the plays when it counted the most. And then obviously Deron Payne had the deflection, also had the 6 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. But like I said, they're going to start double teaming and triple teaming these guys. So the linebackers and the DNs are going to have to start making plays because we saw that a lot in this game. And people were like, oh, why we're getting killed on the run. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, they're literally triple teaming Daron Payne at one point. Like it was pretty insane to watch. I saw some stills from the game where it was literally like Payne and Allen right here, and it's like 3 guys on each of them.
Yeah,
and
you know
it's
what
just
you got to
like,
do to stop them. And
so,
Payne has 5 of those batted at the line this season. I mean, he's just going off, man. Y'all, the investment in that defensive line is starting to show out. You know, the 2 big boys in the middle, Montez Sweat and Chase Young. You know, hopefully he can get back healthy. Maybe after y'all play us a couple of times there, and get back to business for himself there, because a lot of people are down on Chase Young too. People are calling him a bust as well too, but that's ridiculous. People throw that word around way too relentless these days, man. Yeah.
And we won the game, right? Like that's the most important stat. Okay.
Yeah.
But the thing is going against the New York Football Giants, the Dallas Cowboys, the San Francisco 49ers, Cleveland Browns even. Mm-hmm. This sort of stuff ain't going to work. So it's
not going to work?
It's not. I mean, it might work.
Okay. Well, let me propose a question for you then,
Okay. But you want me to get to the roadmap first, or you want to get to the question first?
Let's go question first, then we go roadmap.
Question first.
Make it a little more interesting. See where you stand on this, because you've been talking about this player a little bit already. He looked down at the banners. He's like, oh, God, here it comes. Don't dodge. Don't be sides. Don't politician. None. All right? Keep it funky. Keep it funky. Will Taylor Heineke play well enough to get the Commanders to the playoffs? You want me to hype you up a little bit?
No. I don't.
Look, it's a start, and here comes the hype.
No.
That's a definitive answer from the Beard. Y'all hear that? No? He sounded like Zach Wilson at the podium. Was it your fault? Does the defense, can they blame you? No.
But I think the rest of the team will play well enough to get us to the playoffs.
And be dragging Taylor Heineke along. Okay, I got you.
Because, I mean, listen, let's just be honest. We're winning games, but it's not because of Taylor Heineke. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I love the guy to death. He's my QB1 right now, okay? But last time I checked, Gamer, Hart, and, the guys love to play for you aren't part of, what goes into a QBR, okay? Like, there's no G in the stat line for Gamer points, okay? I hate to break it to you guys. You know what I'm saying? Like,
there's no G in the stat line.
There's no, you don't get a half point after a touchdown for Taylor Heineke because the guys love you.
Little QGR,
Yeah. Just that doesn't exist. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting because, like you said, I look at that stat line, 14-23 for, listen, if Daniel Jones was 14-23 for 138 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception, what you think Giants fans saying?
He doesn't have weapons.
But what has Taylor Heineke got?
A lot of
weapons, right?
A lot of weapons. A ton of weapons.
So, I mean, if Washington, I'm going to ask you a question now.
Okay.
If Washington loses this weekend to New York Giants, does Carson Wentz start after the bye week against the New York Giants?
Depends how they lose. Bad game from Heineke?
Let's say
this again. 1 interception, 2 touchdowns.
No, let's say 1 interception, 1 touchdown. Same stat line though, pretty much.
I don't think so. I think, but 2 games like that, which would be both against the Giants, because y'all got to buy in between. Dang, and that would make things dicey, man. If you have Taylor Heineke
that's what I'm saying. Is that
if you
lose,
the bye,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now how much that second game is. And you saw what Taylor Heineke did against the Giants in the first game.
Yeah. You'd have a real coaching decision to make there, because if you feel that Carson Wentz can take you over the top and win games for you that Taylor Heineke is losing for you, and that's really the only thing, I mean, you got to consider it. I don't think you do it. And Kevin the PRF talking about it now. Yeah, I mean, it's weird that
It's
he looks so much more worse than the stat line did. Like when I was watching the game, one of the interceptions got called back, right? Like he threw another one that got.
The guy didn't catch it, but it was ruled an interception on the field, but then it got overturned after review.
And it's really it's interesting because
it's like quarterback controversy, dilemma situation. Like you just don't see. This isn't like a standard quarterback debate.
Kind of remind you of something like you might see in like Carolina. You know, like you got two
something
quarterbacks
you might
that are
see
like
in a movie.
Average.
It's
a
like
movie,
any given Sunday.
Let me tell you how quarterback controversy looks in the movie. It's Jamie Foxx is on the sidelines. Cap Rooney's in the game. Gets slammed on his back. Your typical quarterback controversy is Drew Bledsoe, Tom Brady. That's normally how it is. One guy is really good. He gets hurt. Guy comes off the bench. Ooh, damn, that dude looking all right there. He can play some football. We got ourselves a quarterback controversy. That's how it normally happens. In this case, you got a quarterback. He gets hurt. The guy comes in. Y'all are winning games, but he's throwing an interception every damn game. He's throwing an interception every game except one, I believe it is.
Yeah, one game without an interception.
And it's not
in
like
that
y'all
game, he didn't even
talent.
throw a touchdown. He didn't even throw a touchdown in that game.
Right.
Either.
Yeah.
Where Jahan Dotson, since Carson Wentz has been out the lineup, where's the Jahan Dotson?
But you also got to consider the injury a little bit too, because I like to compare it to what happened with St. Brown in Detroit, right? Like when he came back off the injury, it took him a couple games to get it ramped up and get going. But I mean, Carson Wentz's play style is better for a wide receiver like Jahan Dotson. And we're not seeing the deep ball either. We're not seeing the deep passes that we used to see from Taylor Heineke a couple of weeks ago. Terry McLaurin's not really getting those type of big plays like that, as much at least.
And the offensive line is playing better too. Zero sacks allowed.
That has to do with Heineke a little bit too, though.
It does.
You know? I think you got to roll with Heineke and die on Heineke.
So even throughout the rest of the year, no questions asked.
I mean, like, you give him at least 3 games.
3 games of what? Of
horrible play.
Under 200 yards and
this kind of shit's on this game. Yeah,
because
I mean, y'all are winning, like you said. Like
it's what makes it difficult. It's not like we're losing.
Yeah, man, you got to go with the hot hand, I guess. Taylor Heineke's looking terrible.
The hand ain't even that hot.
Yeah, the hand is not hot at all. It's not hot at all. One more bad game and you got to start to consider it, right? You think about it during the bye. You observe him in practice. You see what Carson Wentz is doing. If Carson Wentz is in practice lighting it up, you got to think about it. But I just think today I'm letting Taylor Heineke get 3 games.
So that's 2 Giants games, and then what's our third game?
Let me see what our third game is here. It's going to be the 49ers. Y'all next 4-game stretch, they're not talking about this. You might want to get to Twitter right when we get off. The 4-game stretch is tough. 2 games against the Giants, the 49ers, and the Browns. Then the Cowboys, the 5th game. Man.
Last 5 games of the season, and no joke. That's what I'm saying is that, like, you can't play like this is the last, this is it. Like, you got to, you know, the Heineke has to, you got to do something here to grow the legend.
The problem is that you guys can play the Giants with a bad game from Taylor Heineke and still come out with a win.
If we run the ball well enough.
Yeah. Because the Giants, we're not scoring a ton of points, man. We're not scoring a ton of points.
But you know how Daniel Jones does us.
Yeah, he definitely has played well against you all. What's different about that defense right now? You got the different cornerback, too, obviously. Outside of that, the defense ain't really that much different. Daniel Jones know this defense. He know these players. You need a big game from Saquon. We're going to get there. Make sure y'all tune in on Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, man. The best division in football, the best television show not on TV. We're going to be talking about the best matchup of the year.
Yeah.
This is going to be the best matchup of the year in the NFC East, especially when it comes to what we're doing over here. You know, looking at the schedule, I'm starting to be like, you know, it's like you're running out of chips and you're losing hands. But you're kind of winning hands. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. It's weird.
It's like we're chopping. It's like we're chopping the pot. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's exactly what it's like. You're chopping the pot. That's exactly what it's like. You're winning, but you're splitting the pot with somebody else.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And listen, the roadmap.
Oh, yeah, we got to talk about the roadmap.
The phone died.
The phone died on the way?
Phone died on the way.
You ain't had one of them little battery packs with the USB?
no battery pack. I mean, like the phone died. Like it wasn't. And we reached behind the shotgun seat in the little pouch.
Nothing.
No map in
It
there.
was a charger like that one you have in your car that's all frayed up and split. You plug it in, it don't work. You already know. By the time the phone turned back on, the game was over. You're like, God, they seen an Apple sign. Like, why does shit take so long to charge up? Like, what's going on? It's plugged in. You flip the charger.
Soon as Gerard Payne tipped the ball, oh, we got power. Oh, yeah, I did. Betty said Beard brought the pen to the roadmap.
Yeah, he brought the pen out. The roadmap didn't go well.
I had to, write the X's and the check marks. Okay, sound effects department, are you ready?
We ready.
Okay, all right. First stop on the roadmap was to, and a lot of these are close. Okay, a lot of them are close. Okay. It's almost like we had the directions memorized. But, we got to like one turn and was like, I don't know, maybe we should have made a left there. It's like that, okay? So RTDB, I wanted us to run the ball 40 times. We ran the ball 37 times.
Still got to give you one of those.
Yeah. Antonio Gibson, 150 total yards from scrimmage.
Ooh.
Yeah, he had 54 total yards from scrimmage. Yep, there we go. I said, look, Heineke, I need some damn points now. Like, it's all fun and games. Hero, we love you. You're a nice guy, but I need some points. How many points? I said we needed 24. What did we score? 19. Yeah. Over 50% on third down conversions. Almost got to 50. Didn't even get to 50, let alone over. We were 5 of 12.
It was like a...
Red zone conversions. I wanted 100% red zone.
He was asking for a lot, but go ahead.
I mean, we were 2 for 3. Okay, so
that's another.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Defense holds the Falcons under 100 yards rushing. Did not do. They ran for 167 yards. Defense. I wanted 4 sacks. We got 1 sweaty sack.
It's terrible. That's terrible.
We got one coming up here, though. I said we got to hold the Falcons under 17. We did. It was 13 points, which proved to be very helpful because we could not score anything. We scored 19 points.
Right there. They were on a 2 damn yard line.
And I know everybody was all they could think about was that missed extra point too at that point.
Listen, man, if the video that you put out that Josie filmed that went very damn viral. Yeah. If there was a camera down here and I had a parallel, I was reacting to it crazier than you were. I was screaming. And then they held y'all to 3 and out and got the ball back again, right? They got 2 chances. I'm not talking about after the last one, but I'm talking about they had 2 chances at the end of that game. Yeah. They stalled out on that first drive. Then they stopped y'all to a 3 and out. Get the ball back. Get down to the 2-yard line. Dog, I was pacing around this whole damn studio, bro. I was losing my mind. I was screaming. I'm dropping F-bombs. I had like a T-shirt in my hand that I was whipping against the couch every time they was messing up. It was bad, bro. It was really bad. I cannot believe. And the 17 points you talking about right there, they score that touchdown and we get another one of those. But instead, you get a...
We get one. And then turnover battle. Wanted to win that. Push. 1-1 in the turnovers. Got to push.
Yeah, 1-2.
Yep.
Maybe it's a little softer in volume.
And the last one, so I guess, we got 2 stops of everything right, okay? One was under 17 points. Yep. The next one was time of possession battle, which was 33 minutes and 9 seconds to 26 minutes and 51 seconds. So, 2 of the most important ones, we somehow made it. So shout out to the Washington Commanders for pulling another rabbit out the hat. Definitely. Shout out to the Beards, Burgundy Redskins rabbit foot that I got from Ma Dukes.
Oh yeah,
we are now 3-0 with the rabbit foot. 3-0 with the rabbit foot.
The rabbit foot. That was like a roadmap where like, yo, you got a flat tire on the way. You went to the back. You had the little cheap jack that come with the car, but you didn't have that little metal stick to try to twist it up. So you got a little piece of wood from the side of the road. You put it in the thing, try to twist it with your hands, jack leaning. But we got there. We definitely got there. So we can't be too mad.
I don't know if you've ever heard the story, if you remember the story of when we went to Atlantic City. And I was in charge of the GPS, and we were supposed to be going to Atlantic City.
Vaguely.
And then I started to realize that we were not going in the right direction. And I looked up and it said we were X amount of miles away from Staten Island. And everybody was Tim, and I'm like, the GPS.
Start blaming it. The Wazay.
it took us like 5 hours to get to Atlantic City. It was horrible, but yeah, that's kind of.
You got there though, right? You got there.
Just like the Washington Commanders got there. Shout out to the Commanders. Left hand up. Another W in the belt.
Nah, shout out to the Commanders, man. Big win. And they definitely make this NFC East race just that much tighter, man. Yeah, I'm a little nervous about this. I'm definitely a little bit nervous, but
shout out to Josh Jacobs taking down the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh yeah, we all needed that one. We all needed that one. Josh Jacobs had more yards than the entire New York Giants football team did this past week.
I did see that tweet from Mr. Awthentik.
That's not good stuff right there. That's not good stuff. But let's get into it, man. Let's talk about these New York Giants one time, man, and then we'll get y'all up out of here one time. It's going to be the third time I'm talking about the New York Giants this week. I feel like we're in a loop, a time warp of the New York Giants loss to the Dallas Cowboys.
It's on the board with 11:16 to go here in the third.
We'll keep the music vibes kind of chill, because I'm not too happy about this game here against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. They ruined a couple of my meals one time. Definitely went back for seconds in that one, though. But the Giants-Cowboys set an all-time record for the most watched regular season game ever. Lets you know this rivalry is still alive and well. The Cowboys opened up second with 20. They opened up the second half with 21 unanswered points, man. DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons combined for 11 pressures in this game. Dak Prescott was like, here goes the alley-oop, New York Giants fan. Gave us 2 interceptions in the first half. And the Giants, we've only had 3 points off those 2 interceptions. That's not how you do it one time. Giants only got a field goal from Graham Gano. I did ask for improved special teams in this game, and Graham Gano did deliver. He broke the record for the longest field goal by the New York Giants ever. I think that record was held by Aldrick Rosas. I think he ended up getting popped for some PEDs or something like that. Rosas one time. The Giants only had 2 interceptions on the entire season. Dak Prescott gave us 2 on Thursday. Definitely couldn't capitalize on that one. The Cowboys were 3-14 all time in games where they lose the turnover battle by 2 or more. How in the hell did we not win this game? I'm going to tell you how we didn't win this game. Injuries, but we got some good news for the New York Giants. Evan Neal and Daniel Bellinger, tight end, they were both at practice today. We're definitely going to need them in this matchup against the Beard's Commanders on Sunday. And we missed a ton of starters in this game. You had Feliciano out, Evan Neal out, Joshua Zidu out, Shane Lemieux out. Yeah, not that bad. Shane Lemieux not that good. Adoree Jackson out, Fabian Moreau out, Xavier McKinney out, Daniel Bellinger out. That is pretty much our whole entire secondary out. To me, the biggest injury is Daniel Bellinger. You've noticed that Saquon Barkley's kind of not running the same with Daniel Bellinger out the lineup, especially with Evan Neal missing at right tackle as well. I think the combination of them two is definitely hurting the New York Giants. And missing 3/4 of the secondary, that's a big part of it too. There were players on the field, bro, I just didn't even recognize in this game. It's too late in the season to be looking like, who's number what? What? Wait, who's number 40 what? When you see a defensive back wearing number 40-something, first of all, you got to question it.
Was that McLeod?
McLeod, and he is a special teams G. I will give him that. But we had to put him out here in the secondary one time, man, and struggling. I mean, you saw Cordero Flott out there. He was having a tough time with Michael Gallup in the first half. And CeeDee Lamb was balling out. We had Darnay Holmes covering CeeDee Lamb. The one thing I know a lot of Giants fans were pissed off about was Wink Martindale sticking into the man-to-man defense throughout this game, even though we were getting roasted throughout. And CeeDee Lamb, 6 receptions for 106 yards on 11 targets in this game. And, you saw Darnay Holmes on him for most of the game, but Darnay Holmes, I thought he did a pretty decent job, but that's a tough task, man. That's a tall glass when you're talking about CeeDee Lamb out there, man. A lot of people don't think CeeDee Lamb's the number 1 wide receiver, but he's starting to show that now towards this back half of the season that he is a number 1 wide receiver. He had his second 100-yard game of the season. And it's also only the second time that the New York Giants allowed a 100-yard receiver on the season. So that goes to show you how well this defense has been balling out. But when you're this decimated with injuries, it's definitely tough. It's a tough task for Wink Martindale in this defense. So I think he really just didn't have many options. Yeah, Nick McLeod, Jason Pinnock, and Cordero Flott. There was a couple of players in this game. I was just like, who is he?
That sounds like a made-up team on NFL Blitz right there.
Yeah,
NFL Blitz.
When you got this many players in the lineup, bro, that you don't know their names, it's we're fortunate to have lost this game 28-20. We're very fortunate, man. But, the Cowboys tight ends, they also had a good day in this one, too. Dalton Schultz, 4 receptions, 31 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jake Ferguson had 3 receptions, 57 yards. And Peyton Hendershot, who I really didn't know about Peyton Hendershot until this game. He had that jet sweep touchdown. But, the Beard talked about his roadmap. I talked about my key to victories or key to victory, on Thursday's preview show and whatnot. And number one, I talked about running the damn ball. Me and the Beard, we definitely like the RTDB vibes. That's our vibe over here. And the Cowboys rushed for 169 yards. The New York Giants rushed for 90 yards. Zeke Elliott had 2 touchdowns. Zeke Elliott had his best game of the year. 16 attempts, 92 yards. He was averaging 5.8 yards per carry. He had the 22-yard run as his long. And Tony Pollard, had 18 rushes for 60 yards. They decided to go to Tony Pollard for more of the carries in this game. And you have the luxury of doing that if you're the Cowboys, even when Tony Pollard doesn't break, the big run that we're typically used to seeing him do. I also talked about dominating the red zone. The Cowboys did that, so I'll give the Cowboys one of those one time because the Cowboys were 4 for 4 in the red zone. And third down, the Cowboys killed us in this game, man. But Brian Dable, I talked about Brian Dable. I said, I know it. Brian Dable's going to have some tricks up his sleeve. There were definitely no tricks up Brian Dable's sleeve. Mike Kafka.
There was a trick. It just didn't, necessarily. I don't know if it was
what's the trick you talking about?
I mean, he did decide to go for it on 4th down. It's
that ain't really no trick. Going for it on 4th down and running a little rollout with Daniel Jones with 10. Wait, he tried to trick the Dallas Cowboys because he had 10 men on the field. He was like, watch this one. They're not gonna be ready for 10 men on the field. And he had a trick up his sleeve. No, he did not. And that's what everybody was talking about was that 4th and 1 for sure. But I talked about that. I thought that we were gonna get not a trick play, but I thought we were just going to see something a bit new in this game, being strapped for talent on the offensive side of the ball, and we definitely didn't see that. The Beard talking about 4th and 1, little rollout from Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, he looked to his left and was like, oh, that guy's not there. Tried to chuck it to Saquon Barkley, and the ball was behind Saquon Barkley. I talked about this on the Giant Overreaction, too. We put out a shorts video where we compared that to the Tampa Bay play in 2020, the 2-point conversion that Daniel Jones failed on. Exact same throw. And Daniel Jones, I just feel like in those bright spots, those primetime games, Daniel Jones is giving Kirk Cousins a run for his money right now. Daniel Jones 0 for 10 in primetime games. I also talked about Kenny Galladay had a chance to step up in a big spot. I have parentheses, bruh, in my notes. Kenny Galladay didn't have a target. He didn't have a target in this game, bro. The man did not have a target in this game. I even had a bruh for the trick up his sleeve, so it's good. That bruh's for you, the Beard, for saying that 4th and 1 with 10 men on the field. Kenny Galladay, man, I was talking to Stan about this on Twitter in the DM a little bit, because me and Stan, we don't talk too much publicly on Twitter no more. People, y'all can't be just diving in our conversations like this ain't a real conversation. So we're talking about this one in the DMs, and Stan was talking about that, man. He's just like, Kenny Galladay just doesn't fit the Brian Dable scheme, and they saw success with Gabriel Davis over there in Buffalo. I don't understand why he's not being used at least kind of like that. I know Gabriel Davis is more of a he's got a little more explosivity, I'd say, than Kenny Galladay does at this point in his career. But just an ugly day, man. No targets. I saw Kenny Galladay one-on-one on Daniel's left. Daniel Jones said, hike, he ain't even look over there. He's staring down on the right side. And Dan Orlovsky brought this up about Mike White. He showed a check down from Mike White, man, and how fast Mike White went through the progressions, going from his number 1 option to number 2 to number 3 to then checking it down. He did that all in 2 seconds. So that's one thing that I think, as somebody as an observer of the game, I want to look at a little bit more, how quarterbacks who do have to get off the first and second read, how fast they do it. Because, I'm someone who, I look at it like, okay, you get 3-4 seconds to do that. You did a pretty decent job.
Yeah,
but Mike White did that in 2 seconds, man.
Also, sometimes I think it has to do with the play design, though, right? Sometimes, the route might be a little bit longer on certain play designs before he realizes that, he's not going to beat his man.
But, a good coordinator, the way that they'll scheme those open is so that by the time you get the first option will normally be the shorter one.
The shorter one, gotcha.
Right, unless you got one-on-one option, one-on-one matchup or something, and you're looking for a deep route down the field or something like that. But for the most part, the reads go where when you come off the first one, the second one should be there. It shouldn't be where you come off the first, by the time you get to the third, the route is done.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting for me. And I also said my fifth key to victory here would be that Saquon and Daniel Jones needed to have big games. And I'll start with Saquon Barkley. Saquon had his second worst game of the season. I almost forgot about the game last week against the Detroit Lions where he only had 22 yards. In this one, he had 11 rushes for 39 yards. He had 4 receptions. They did try to use him a little bit more in the passing game. He was targeted 6 times, but, you guys got to step up. And I don't know what to blame Saquon Barkley's decline, I'd say, these last couple of weeks on. But I did talk about this. I've been talking about this for a while, about the pattern that Saquon Barkley has been going through with the year. It's always been a 100-yard game, 2 games where it's underneath 100. You always have one of his worst games of the year in that. But now we got 2 games back-to-back that breached Saquon Barkley's worst games of the year. And that's why I'm starting to get a little bit worried. I'm starting to think about that injury that happened against the Green Bay Packers. We're seeing the shoulder is taped up, all of that. And when you stop Saquon Barkley, the Giants are strapped right now, especially, and I realized this after the Giant overreaction. Daniel Jones, when he had Daniel Bellinger in the lineup, that was the other go-to guy because you could do those quick little play actions. Even when the running game's not working with Saquon Barkley and he could dump it off into the flats, they had some really creative plays. And that's what I was looking for in this game from Mike Kafka and Brian Dable, but we didn't see it. And I don't know if it's a talent thing, man. All these guys are NFL caliber players. I just think you got to find a better way to scheme it up. And, having that lead 13-7 at the half, Dallas gave you the alley-oop, man, and the offense just failed. They failed to sustain drives. They failed to capitalize off the turnovers. The game really got out of pocket in a sequence of just 3 to 4 drives. Coming out the second half, Cowboys get the ball. They go down the field. They score a touchdown. Giants end up punting the ball, or actually the Giants end up going for it on 4th down, get a turnover on downs. And then the Cowboys score again, and that's really it. It goes back to the window I talked about with Jalen Hurts, right? Mm-hmm. When you can do that to a team, you go up 7, then you score again, or you stop them on defense, then you score again. It's so hard to get back into a game when you're down 2 scores in the second half. And the Giants and our fans, and myself included, we kind of got a little bit accustomed to seeing us come back in games at least down by 1 score. But when you get down like that, the Cowboys straight up dominated us in that third quarter. The New York Giants possessions, turnover on downs, punt, turnover on downs, and then you got the garbage time touchdown. Those are the second half possessions. You're not going to be able to win like that, and they deserve one of these. You cannot win like that. That's not how you win. And when you look at the Cowboys, they come out the gate and they score 2 touchdowns on their first drives. That's a fun win for you in the second half. And Dak Prescott, man, he looked sharp in this game. Minus the 2 interceptions, and one of the interceptions, you got to look at it like really wasn't his fault. They thought they had the Giants in an offsides position. He's just trying to throw the ball down the field as far as he can pretty much to whoever he thought was open. He saw the one-on-one matchup on the outside. I think it was Michael Gallup. I can't remember. And, you get the interception from the New York Giants and whatnot. And to me, Dak Prescott is starting to show you the levels of quarterback play within the NFC East. We know that the Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys both have great weapons, but both of their quarterbacks are showing up when it matters the most, man. And now you're talking about 2 straight games for the New York Giants where they go without a sack. They're facing you guys on Sunday. Y'all haven't been sacked in 2 games. That's the one, tweet. That's a good statistic for y'all. So for me, it's like you got to find a way to get to the quarterback. And yeah, they did get some pressure. The one bright spot I think in this game was Kayvon Thibodeau. In the most watched regular season game ever, Kayvon Thibodeau did show up. He didn't get to the quarterback. But 2 straight games.
Listen, he was being, this is from a neutral guy, right? And we talked about this, you and I. We don't like to blame refs, okay? Like, it's just not really what we do. But I will say that Thibodeau was being held all game.
There's something about his rushing attack style that I think just makes it look like that. You see the head-on contact, right? And he does a lot of this. Like, when he's, like, being beat a little bit, you start to see him lean his trajectory, like, kind of backwards a little bit. To me, I can't blame the referees in this one. I just can't.
I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying,
No, and I'm not saying you are. I'm not saying you are. And but I just disagree with the narrative that he was being held the whole game. I saw it going around on Twitter and whatnot. I watched that game, and to me, it's like maybe 1 or 2 here or there. But for the most part, I feel like I
tweeted Thibodeau's being held again about 10 times during that game.
I just think it has a lot to do with his rushing style. He lower that shoulder, man. He's got to get better with the moves. For one,
the motorcycle
rush.
lean, the motorcycle.
Yeah, you got to get low, man. Why is your defensive end standing upright back? Why is that? He's getting beat. And that's why the referees are probably not prone to call it. You're not seeing those egregious holds where you see the arm across the chest, like literally just like headlocking them. You're not seeing, to me, that's just my opinion. And I can't use the referees as a scapegoat because the Dallas Cowboys in this game, you see how many penalties they had in this game? For one, they lead the NFL again in penalties.
11, I think
it was 13 penalties for 80 yards. 80-plus yards in this one, I thought. I don't got the number right in front of me. I think it was, matter of fact, let's be accurate here
Precise.
one time and make sure we got this right. You know what I'm saying?
The
Exactly.
Darnay Holmes penalty, though, was a little ghost.
Yeah, that one was a little,
Kai says 13.
13, yeah, I thought it was 13 penalties, yep. And it was for 86 yards. And we only had 7 penalties for 66 yards, man. So it's like, we could look at the referees all we want. I think they called a pretty fair game. The Darnay Holmes, he tugged him. You saw it, right?
Ticky-tacky? I don't know.
A little ticky-tacky, yeah. But let me ask you, you playing tight end. Let's say you playing tight end, right? You running that seam route. And it wasn't a tight end on this particular one. It was CeeDee Lamb, I believe. But let's say you playing tight end, right? And you running that seam route. And you feel that jersey get tugged on the back. You don't want the call?
I want the call.
If you see it on your team, right? Let's say you see
John
Dotson.
Want the call.
You want the call, right?
Yeah.
You think it's the right call or you think it's the wrong call?
I think
ticky-tack is one thing, right? But do you think it was the wrong call? That's kind of what I want to know.
I got to go back and watch it again because when I watched it for the first time, like outside of the live time, I watched the highlight the first time. I didn't see it, so I need to go back and watch that. Apparently,
I was going to see if the chat might have been overreacting a little bit on it too. For me, man, it's like if they get away with tugging the jersey a lot in the NFL.
Yeah.
You tug the jersey on a one-on-one matchup like that, you got to call that. But for me, it's just strapped with talent on the defensive side of the ball. I've talked about this a lot this year, that the defense, to me, is at the top of the hierarchy as far as the New York Giants go and why we've been winning games. Because the defense always keeps us in these games. They're giving us second and third opportunities. But in this one, they just didn't do that. The Dallas Cowboys, 8 for 15 on third down, right? There were so many key third downs in this game. Even early on, Michael Gallup showed you. And I saw William Steele talking about this on his stream, not only today. He did a fantastic play-by-play breakdown where he was looking at film today. And then on his show the other day, on Monday, he was talking about, like, strong hands from Michael Gallup, contested catches, Dak Prescott putting the ball in tight windows and relying on his wide receivers to make the play. The Giants don't have that. One of the plays that really stood out to me, I believe, was a penalty that got the Cowboys pinned back. And this was right before the Dalton Schultz touchdown. You got 3rd and goal from the 15, bro. So not only do you got 15 yards to go, the defense has the advantage because the end zone is to their backside. You should be able to make a 3rd and 15 stop, man. And we're getting too accustomed to seeing this.
Absolute worst.
Those are as a fan, and you feel it. I know it. I know all New York Giants fans can vouch for this. You feel it on a 3rd and long, like, man, watch them get this right here.
I mean,
that's just feel it.
Hey, like I said, parallels here, New York and Washington, because we're the same damn way, man. That's why I brought up third down so much this year, because time and time again, and last year and in the beginning of this year, you're just like 3rd and 12. Yes, we're about to get the ball back. No. 25-yard gain. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
it's not even like they just.
It's not even
like they just barely get it either. Like they get it, like significantly get it. Like,
and it'd be like, with the Giants, they'll go to like a man-to-man defense, and you'll see like even a quarterback run for a first down for like 15 yards, 12 yards. I'm just like, I love the aggressive style from Wink Martindale, and I think that at times you have to do it. Especially in a game like this. He tried to adjust. There was one point where there was 7 defensive backs on the field, and they put Kayvon Thibodeau at middle linebacker. Dog, I'm like, he trying everything, but he's strapped for talent over there. And with the Cowboys going 8 for 15 on third down. Oh, I'm sorry, they were 7 of 11 on third down. My bad on that. And the Giants were 3 of 11 on third down. It's hard to win games like that. The Giants, bro, guess how many third down conversions the Giants had in the second half? They had 3 in the game. Guess how many they had in the second half?
1
third down conversion.
And that was on the final drive, right?
In the last minute of the game, bro. Like, you can't win games like this. And people, the thing about the New York Giants is we know you cannot make too many mistakes in a game and come away with the victory. So when you see like the Darnay Holmes, penalty, or you see a 3rd and 15 converted by Dak Prescott where he throws a touchdown to Dalton Schultz, you're clamoring onto it because you cannot get too many of those and be in the game. Converting 1 3rd down in the second half and it comes in garbage time in the last minute of the fourth quarter is terrible. And let me give you a statistic that stood out to me about this Cowboys defense. This Cowboys defense has been on fire, man. They've been balling out. And I forgot to talk about this with y'all. In y'all little winning streak that y'all have had here, y'all have 13 takeaways in 6 of the 7 games or something like that. 6 wins in 7 games, y'all have 13 takeaways, right? This one, I meant to say that in that game, but this one reminded me of it just a little bit. The past 2 weeks, the Dallas Cowboys defense has held their opponents to 4 of 22 on 3rd down, bro.
It's winning. That's winning recipe, man.
That's why people are talking Cowboys are a Super Bowl team, because if their defense can continue to do that, you making things extremely easy for Dak Prescott in this offense. And they don't lack anything on that offense. That offensive line is probably the weaker unit on that offense. And you could maybe say the wide receivers possibly, but I say weaker. I don't mean weak.
Yeah.
Their wide receiver core is solid. CeeDee Lamb is stepping up. Michael Gallup coming off that injury, it reminds me of some of the players where you go, man, coming off an ACL, it's one of the best returns you've seen, bro.
Yeah, it took him a couple of games, but this was like his coming out party, I think, from his return. And the thing is when you look at it, you're up 13-7 at half, right? And you talk about all these numbers and all these statistics. You have to know at that point that for lack of a better word, you're lucky that you're at 13-7. Right?
I'll take it. Me.
Luck
happens in football. I'll take it.
Trust me, I know that. But not being able to capitalize off of the 2 turnovers. You're in this position when you're in the lead. You got to be able to.
Hey, Benny, I ain't mean no disrespect, bro. I ain't mean no disrespect, dog. I really didn't. Because I hate that when people be like, hey, you got another little show coming up? You got your little podcast doing all right? Yeah. I hate that. So no disrespect, Benny. You know what it is. And let's get to this super chat one time from ENA.
Big shout out to ENA. We got time for the $4.99 super chat. Says, what's up, fellas? Sorry I'm late. Been running around all day. Hope you're feeling better, bruh. Authentic with a little flu game, Michael Jordan status going on right now on the podcast. Yeah, so shout out Authentic, shout out ENA. We got time. I
appreciate that, bro.
Appreciate you, brother.
I definitely do. And Micah Parsons, bro. We talked about Micah Parsons, man. 2 quarterback sacks versus the Giants here. Parsons got at least 2 quarterback sacks in 6 games. He has 2 quarterback sacks or more. 5 games where he doesn't have 2 sacks. Like, this guy is on a rampage. And I thought we did a pretty decent job early on. But then when the Giants were forced to throw the ball. Yeah, Daniel Jones was doing a good job staying away from him because Andrew Thomas had a rough day for sure. And they were moving Micah Parsons around on this defense and whatnot. But, the thing that stood out to me in this game was the panic from the coaching staff as well, especially offensively, right? You go into the half with that lead 13-7, the Dallas Cowboys come out and score a touchdown. So what, okay? It's a 1-point game. You're on your own 40-yard line and you go for it on 4th and 1. And a lot of Giants fans are saying they like the call. I don't like the call.
I don't like the call either. Especially,
I don't like the call.
That's where I was going with the 13-7 at half, and it's like you're down 1 point, and you're at midfield. Up until that point, your defense had 2 turnovers,
right,
and only allowed 14 points against a team that to be perfectly honest is inferior. Offensive skill wise at this point. Right. And you've held them
when you go for it on 4th and 1, you're thinking about the high risk, right? But you're also thinking like the reward we could reap from this, right? Is we could sustain a drive here and maybe get back up on top on the scoreboard here. But the risk is way too high, right? Because you turn the ball over and the Dallas Cowboys are at your 40-yard line.
You want to know what's interesting? That drive is the only touchdown drive that the Cowboys had that entire game that was a single-digit play scoring drive.
Wow.
So every other one
game's over
was
at that
10-plus plays, 11, 14, and 10.
That's the only one.
It's just you've been forcing them to do it, right? But to do, and then it was only what? It was only 4 plays that you ran before you went for it on 4th down. I want to say. So it's like now not only are you putting your defense in a bad position with Field, they just got off of the field from a 14 play drive.
Right.
And now you're putting them back on the field after 4 plays on a short field.
They're down 2 scores now. You know, the team's down 2 scores with a tired defense with a bunch of substitute players in there. That's to me, that was the game right there. You gave away the game on 4th and 1. And, you know, I do like the play design. I will say that. The play design was awesome. Outside of having 10 men on the field, the play design was really good. It got Saquon Barkley out in open space, and Daniel Jones has to make that throw, man. And you know, I remember you had texted me, right? I think right at the end or during the game, you were like, you know, today Daniel Jones looks like an NFL quarterback. And you were talking about the optics, right? Like just the way he looked comfortable in the pocket and whatnot, right? You didn't see too much panic from Daniel Jones in this game. But you got to be able to make those clutch kind of throws like that. And I saw it. I saw that I tweeted out that he bobbled the snap a little bit, but he didn't really bobble the snap. But when he caught the ball and he went to make the throw, he looked to his left and he saw no one was over there. He quickly made the decision to go to his right to go to Saquon Barkley. It looked like he didn't even have the ball with the laces in his hand because he was just trying to get rid of it. You know, you trying to get the ball out so quick. You're just like, man, it's a short throw. Let me just get it over there. And in return, you throw the ball inside and low. It's the worst place you could have put the ball for Saquon Barkley. And there's been this big argument on Twitter. Everybody's saying, oh, well, Saquon dropped it. No, Daniel Jones threw the ball awful. You know, his momentum, blah, blah, whatever.
It's just
At
a
the
bad
end of the day,
play.
they didn't convert. It's a bad decision more than it's a bad play, you know? And your quarterback's got to execute it. It starts, I always like, you know, when you talk about a problem, right? I always like to go back to the seed of the problem, right? Like, where did it go wrong? You could say Saquon dropped it, right? But where did the seed actually go completely wrong? The throw. The play call's good. The routes are good. You also you got 10 men on the field. It was a backside wide receiver, so it doesn't really hurt the play that much. It's not like you have an extra guy over there on Saquon. But where the seed went wrong is on the throw.
Yeah.
If you put that throw out in front, even if it's low, Saquon's probably going to come up with that. And I will say this to defend some of the people that are talking about the Saquon Barkley drop. Saquon hasn't had sure hands this year. We've seen a couple drops from Saquon this year. And that is what it is.
And he came out too, both of them, you know, and took responsibility for the play.
They did. But maybe that's a time when you want to bring in a guy like Matt Breida or somebody who you think is maybe a little bit more sure-handed. Because it's unfortunate when you're seeing these drops like that, because I do think it's still a drop. At the end of the day, it's a bad throw and it's a drop.
There you go.
Yep.
Every play is a bad play if poorly executed.
Facts. Kai dropping facts right there.
I think that what you just said too is something I'm going to pay attention to a lot more moving forward too. It's so easy when a play goes wrong to just be like, he threw an interception, or you know, he dropped a pass, he fumbled. But the seed, like, there's so many intricacies that go into a single play in the NFL that it's interesting that you say that, because I guess it really is important to kind of find, you know, the root of the problem, for lack of a better word, you know, the seed, like you said.
Yeah.
It's an interesting
and Jones
way
does
of looking
everything right on the play. You know, he gets the snap. He felt the pressure. There was a few times in this game where Daniel Jones felt the pressure. I gave a shout out to the homie Antonio from Breaking Tackles podcast, right? Because he highlighted a play that I thought, like, Antonio's like, he's just like not all the way balanced when it comes to Daniel Jones, because I think in his heart he just wants the quarterback out of New York in a way, right? But on this particular breakdown, I thought he did a really good job. He's talking about a play where Daniel Jones kind of was flushed out of the pocket. He felt the pressure on his backside pulling up, right? But Tanner Hudson streaking down the middle of the field in a cover 2 type of defense where both safeties were occupied on the outside. And literally, Tanner Hudson's down the middle of the field like 25 yards, because once he saw Daniel Jones roll out to the right and it was a broken play, he just seamed it up the middle of the field. He's not wide open or nothing, right? But it's one-on-one with a linebacker right on his hip, and he's seaming down the field. And Daniel just didn't let it rip. Daniel ended up running it for about 6 yards, so I'm not mad at it. But I bring up that play because Daniel Jones is sensing the pressure better these days. He's starting to feel when there's a defender behind him. It's almost like, you know, I play a lot of Apex Legends, and I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty lately, right? And a lot of people get killed in those games because they don't got good headsets. If you got a good headset, you can hear the footsteps from the people that are coming near you. and then you just wait around the corner and I can hear you approaching, bro, and bow, just knock you out, right? Daniel Jones is starting to get that a little bit. He's starting to feel that pressure. It's almost as if he can hear them behind him. And man, he literally, you saw him look to Tanner Hudson, he was about to get killed. He did a little shimmy, like a little dance to the left, and literally got out of the way. Like, if he doesn't do that, he's going to get killed. So, I mean, I do see the improvements from Daniel Jones' game a good bit. And I commend him for that, because we could talk about he don't got weapons in the offensive line and the injuries all day long, but I like to just use my eyes on the quarterback. And I think he's playing pretty decent football, man. But, like, right now, it's just like you're not making the plays when you need to make them. We cannot use the excuse of, hey, Daniel Jones ain't got no weapons out there, when on 4th and 1 you skip a pass to Saquon Barkley. And there was a ton of throws like that in this game where Daniel Jones just missed, just inaccurate on the throw. And I don't know if it's the bright lights. I don't know if he's got the Kirk Cousins syndrome or whatnot. I don't know what it is. But there's something where Daniel Jones, the accuracy is not as consistent. And for me, where I'm noticing it is it's outside the hash marks for the most part. Across the middle, he finds ways to throw his wide receivers in positions where keep him out of harm's way a good bit. A lot of people will say sometimes, like, hey, that throw's not out in front of him. But if the quarterback puts the throw out in front of him, you might get your wide receiver killed. And those are the little nuances about the NFL that are different from the college game that I feel like a lot of people just don't see. You know what I'm saying?
I totally agree with you.
And I did want to end this segment with the clip from Stephen A. Smith that we highlighted on Monday's Giant Overreaction. Shout out to everybody that pulled up in the building on that show too, man. That was a good vibe, man. That was probably the peak of this sickness that I have right now.
That was the real Jordan flu game for Authentic. Was the Monday,
that really was,
Monday
man.
show.
It was tough, and I still feel that flu kind of kicking me right now, man, just a little bit. But I do want to highlight this opinion from Stephen A. Smith. And chat, y'all tell me, you know what I'm gonna actually do before I highlight that. And if you have anything else you wanted to say on this game, please do so. But before I highlight that, I wanna put a poll in the chat for this one, because I just want to know if y'all feel like Stephen A. Smith is spot on this. If where you feel if he's right or wrong on this one, as far as the his assessment on Daniel Jones, if I can get this up quick enough, because if I can't get this up quick enough, and I can't, so y'all just tell me, just put a yes or no in the chat when we play this if you think Stephen A. Smith is spot on, or if he's completely wrong on this one. Let me know y'all opinions about this for those of y'all that didn't see this one on the Giant Overreaction on Monday.
The level of competition you're going against matters, and the 7-3 record that the New York Giants have or had at time. Listen, the bottom line is they're not that good right now. Daniel Jones, did you see some of the throws that he was making? When he's got his feet set and he's standing in the pocket with no pressure, sure, he can look good. But when you force him out of the pocket and he has to be on the move and make any throws with any degree of accuracy, he's not going to do it. He showed it last night. As far as I'm concerned, when I looked at him yesterday, I said this is not the quarterback of the future. Brian Daboll has to get somebody else to be the quarterback of the New York Giants. Not this season, but looking forward, moving forward in the future. He's just not that guy. Not unless you have a couple of elite receivers and a big-time offensive line. If you don't have those two, Daniel Jones is not the guy, because he's not the guy that can make things happen for you. He's basically a guy that can capitalize off of ideal situations. But anything that's not ideal, he's not your guy.
All right, so I did manage to get the poll up in time. You know what I'm saying? I ran the 2-minute drill.
You're authentic.
I got it done. You know what I'm saying? So y'all make sure y'all put in y'all votes. Shout out to John Kim, who just hit us off for the super chat as well too. Let's go ahead and get to this
John Kim,
one.
big shout out to John Kim for the $5 super chat. Says, "What's up, guys? Yo, Authentic, go boil sliced ginger for 30. I've done this before. Go boil sliced ginger for 30 minutes, then mix it with honey, and you should be good, fam. DJ 4-1 versus Washington. We getting our starters back. Good game."
I appreciate that, John Kim. I'll definitely take that advice, man. Try and get this up off me. I'd say I'm about good 10% better than I was the other day, but you hearing it, it's scratchy. It's approaching right now. We're in the fourth quarter, and it's approaching on me right now. But let me keep my eyes on this this poll real quick.
I will tell you this. There are parts of that I agree with.
Yeah.
And there are parts of that I would have agreed with in the past. But I don't know if I necessarily agree with them now. Which
points you think?
The part where he talks about, like, where his inaccuracies when he needs to extend the play and things like that. I think that he's done I think that he's much improved And I think some of that does have to do, we've talked about this before, I think some of that does have to do with the scheme in which Brian Daboll has brought to this team. But I feel like Daniel Jones has improved in that aspect of his game this season. Now, the part where he talks about being the quarterback of the future, I can't say yes to that, obviously, but I can't say no. I mean, it's a weird position because I feel like Daniel Jones finally has a competent coaching staff, right? He finally has a healthy Saquon Barkley. And I don't want to make excuses, right? Because we've been doing it for X amount of years. But it's almost like it's just the timing is so bad for him to finally be turning the corner in some of these aspects of his performances. But, business, this is a business, and you have to think about that with the contract and everything like that. But I just, obviously, all of the things that he said about, if his ideal situation, yes, every quarterback should be able to perform in an ideal situation. But wouldn't necessarily say that he's inaccurate on the move and under pressure and things like that. And I think you see that a lot in his interception numbers being down drastically this year in comparison to previous years. So
yeah, and the Giants,
think,
the attempts are way down too. I mean, we're one of the least passing teams in the NFL. That's one thing. And I think where Stephen A, I think, is correct on it, right, is he said you either have to have the elite wide receivers in the big line around him, or he's not the guy.
But how many other quarterbacks in the league are in that same position?
And I'm so glad you said that, because there's only one other quarterback that can't have those things around him and still excel, and it's Patrick Mahomes. There's really I talked about Lamar Jackson a lot on the Giant Overreaction on Monday when we were talking about this, because look at Lamar Jackson, what he did in that game on Sunday, and they still came out with a loss. He was like 80% of their entire offense. Yeah. They didn't have a wide receiver go over 4 receptions. Deshaun Jackson was a leading wide receiver with 2 receptions for like 70 yards. One of them was the big bomb late in the game. Lamar Jackson ran for like 89 yards, and he had like 250 through the air. He's doing everything he possibly can. And I'm starting to feel for Lamar a little bit now, the same way I feel for Daniel Jones, where I'm like, damn, like, you really cannot excel in this league without a true number 1 wide receiver. And people want to bring up Josh Allen and all that stuff. I see that, right? Josh Allen's a fantastic quarterback, man. He's so good, okay? And I won't say that. I won't sit here and say that if you put Josh Allen in this same circumstance in New York, that he would be a worse quarterback than Daniel Jones. I see people saying that like Daniel Jones is the best option. That's not the truth, right? We can't be fake about it, right? I do think Stephen A makes a good point when he says, like, you either got to get those things corrected immediately, or you got to find that quarterback that's going to be able to take you over the hump when everything is not quite right. I do think he was a little bit off when he was saying rolling out of the pocket, and Daniel Jones is inaccurate rolling out of the pocket a lot. I think what he was trying to say, though, is when it's like, because Brian Daboll has put Daniel Jones in good position to roll out designed and throw the ball.
When things don't go according to plan.
Exactly.
When things don't go according to plan. But this is the thing about this, okay?
And just to touch on that real quick, just one little other thing. When it doesn't go to plan, I think Daniel Jones' scapegoat is to just run it. Mm-hmm. He does a good job of that. He'll either run it or throw it away. And I think he's doing a good job of that. But in the end, that's not going to really win you a ton of games.
But look at Taylor Heineke. Daniel Jones puts up better numbers than Taylor Heineke does, and Taylor Heineke has all of the weapons you could possibly imagine.
I'd have to do a deep comparison, because the thing is, Taylor Heineke's not throwing touchdowns either, but neither is Daniel Jones. They're both not throwing touchdowns, but Taylor Heineke is way more mistake-prone than Daniel Jones is at this point in his career.
I bet you if you polled 100 Washington fans, they would say that Taylor Heineke is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. How many percent of them?
So?
70. I think 75%. Well, it's interesting because obviously Washington fans are split between
just like Giants fans are. I think it'd be kind of split, because you got those fans that are like, I saw people, Street Scores tweeted out, if you guys had a franchise quarterback right now, you'd be a Super Bowl contender.
To the Giants or Washington?
You guys,
Washington. Commanders.
And think about it. Where are the holes in that roster? Linebacker, a bit on offensive line.
Yeah, offensive line. I mean, even linebacker now is. I mean, this part of the season hasn't been an issue for a while now. It's showing up a little bit because Holcomb's on the IR. The depth maybe, but yeah, I mean, yeah. Isn't that what we thought Washington fans thought in the beginning of the season and off
Yeah.
season, said we're a quarterback away.
Yeah, everybody thought y'all were quarterback away. Now the Giants, you can't say the same thing. Nobody's sitting here saying the Giants are a quarterback away because the wide receiver problem is so obvious with New York. It's ridiculous how obvious it is, right? With you guys, y'all got the weapons. You got a good tight end in Logan Thomas, which we drafted one this year. I do think Daniel Bellinger is going to be a piece on this offense for years to come. But then you got Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin. You got the other kid, the second-year kid who can stretch the field. What's his name? De'Ami Brown, right? A reason why you were able to get rid of a guy like DeAndre Carter. That core is really good. Defensively, the defensive front, on fire. Secondary, fantastic. The linebackers are really the weakness, and a lot of that has to do with Cole Holcomb being hurt right now. You can manage with that linebacker, core and be able to win games on the back of that linebacker core. With the Giants, it's very different. And this is I see a lot of people in the chat, giving some great takes on this as well, right? My thing is like this. If you keep Daniel Jones around, right, where does the capital come? Where does the capital come from to get that wide receiver?
The holes?
It would have meant that you would have had to trade Saquon Barkley earlier in the year for that number one guy. Because outside of Saquon Barkley, what is somebody going to trade us a number one wide receiver for? It's going to be draft picks. Who's that going to be? It's going to be a guy like Brandon Cooks. It's not going to be no Stephon Diggs.
Well, you guys are going to get
no one who has
money.
that kind of value a wide receiver is going to trade them right now.
How much? Well, yeah, right now, I mean, there's, and you brought this up about the quarterback play. I said, look, if it's not right now, I don't want to hear about it, okay? Because like we're talking about right now. But I mean, moving forward, Galladay's going to come off your books, right? I mean, you guys talking about capital wise. I mean, you guys will have some money next year, which I just think. I think everything is not always black and white. It's not always he's the guy or he's not the guy, right? Like, you don't necessarily have to sign him to a franchise quarterback deal next year.
But then, you also don't want to be in the rat wheel, right? Because if you let's say you could get Daniel Jones on a 1-year deal with a second-year option or something like that, right? Let's just say that. How are you going to build around him? It's going to be a lot of hope because you're going to have to hope you can possibly get maybe a wide receiver in the draft. I'm one of the people that have the thinking like this. You could keep Daniel Jones around and draft a quarterback as well. Not a lot of people are talking about that, right? But I feel like that too. Like you could totally
I think
just
that's the smartest thing to do. What else are you going to do?
But
Because you're still going to have to sign another quarterback.
Jones a service because you're probably going to have to get that quarterback in the first round. You're also probably going to have to trade some draft picks to get that quarterback with the way the New York Giants are playing football this year with the wins. It's a tough place that we're in right now. Do you spend your first-round capital on a wide receiver to try to help Daniel Jones that might not pan out? We saw it with Kadarius Toney already.
I'd have to look at the free agents, upcoming free agents list.
Not many.
We're in a jam. We're in a similar jam. What do we do at quarterback position?
You guys can cut Carson Wentz right now, 0 dead cap hit.
Yeah, but then
it's amazing. Draft your guy. You can go another 1 or 2 years with a bridge quarterback. You could totally do that. Your core on offense is extremely young.
Or do we get Taylor Heineke's a free agent at the end of the year?
I even think a guy like Tyrod Taylor gives y'all a better chance than a guy like Taylor Heineke.
That's why I wish I knew what we had in Sam Howell. I'd love to know how good he is.
Yeah, that would be nice too. But the way that y'all on this winning streak, it kind of keeps you away from that.
Yeah.
Because you can't just throw the rookie in.
John Kim says the top wide receiver free agent next year is going to be Jarvis Landry.
Yo, I'm telling you, the Giants aren't up. And this is why they don't pay me the bucks, and you'll never hear me talking about I'm some GM and telling the GM, yo, you need to do this. Look, they in a tough spot right here. Because the other thing is the schedule does, and Stephen A. mentioned this in the clip too. He said the Giants are not a good team right now. And he leaned towards the schedule a little bit, right? What if you go into next year, you spend money or draft capital or whatever it is on a wide receiver, you bring in Daniel Jones, are you going to re-sign Saquon Barkley in this situation? Probably, right? Let's say you just bring that back and you try to run it back one more time. You're so strapped because if the schedule is difficult next year, and let's say the team falls back flat and let's say you don't make the playoffs and you have a losing record and all these things, now you just wasted a whole entire draft trying to help Daniel Jones, who's a quarterback that you might only keep around for 1 or 2 years max.
So then maybe the key to all of this is being able to sign Odell Beckham Jr.
Could be. And I do like this right here. I ain't gonna lie. I like this.
Get the gang back together.
I like it. I mean, are there any wide receivers that you know coming out the draft that could be that stud? I see Chris Peace talking about Marvin Harrison Jr., who's only a sophomore.
I mean, there's definitely some guys, yeah. Wide receiver position has gotten to be a lot deeper now in the draft because of the style of offenses that a lot of these colleges are running.
That's the answer. And that's the crazy part about it, because I think that everyone can admit this. Daniel Jones needs weapons. Everybody should be able to admit that.
Every quarterback needs weapons, so yeah, Daniel Jones needs weapons.
Daniel Jones needs weapons. But now it's like, is even a number one wide receiver going to take it over the hump? Because he needs weapons, plural, if you ask me. One guy is not going to do it. I love Darius Slayton. I think he's a guy that you could definitely bring back, right?
Mecole Hardman and Juju are both free agents, apparently, too.
They just don't, they just don't.
They're not ones.
They're not ones, really. I like what Juju can do. I like Mecole Hardman. Nah, no way I'd go out there and get Mecole Hardman. I've had Mecole Hardman on my fantasy team for 3 straight years.
You got Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yep.
You gotta, but also now you gotta think about this. Wan'Dale's probably gonna miss half of the year next year.
So you don't got Wan'Dale Robinson, right? you can't bank on him being a part of this offense as far as starting the year off on the right foot. Man, the Giants are gonna be, and I don't like, me and you both, we don't even like talking about the future too crazy, right?
But in regards to Stephen A's comments, in
regard to his comments, and also just like people are talking about it so much. I talk about it every day. On Sunday, Giants weren't even playing, and people were just in my DMs talking about Daniel Jones. People in my mentions, Daniel Jones. I don't think that this formula to win that we're using right now is going to be sustainable for success next year. Do you beef up the offensive line more and not even think about the weapons? Do you just go out there and just say, man, let's get more hogs? We'll keep this identity and just run the rock and use the tight end and, use Daniel Jones off play action and try to win games with read option and RPO. Man, it's got me so shook for next season. And the decision, because you got to stick to it and commit to it. You don't want to just sign Daniel Jones just because you don't got no other option at quarterback.
You got to see how that works.
You're seeing how that works. And I talked about this on the Giant Overreaction too. I said, you don't just try to build a quarterback. That's not the goal when you're trying to build a roster. You're trying to build a team. You're trying to build a winning team here. It's not just about getting a good quarterback, because I don't want to be the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears, I can definitively say right now, they have a good quarterback, man. Like, I think Justin Fields is on his way. He's young. He's unpolished. But I think he's a good quarterback, and he'll be a good quarterback in like 2 years here. He's going to be a good quarterback. I think Daniel Jones is a good quarterback. But when you need these things to be like, Stephen A., they like to say perfect and whatnot. I don't think it needs to be perfect, but it needs to be like at least like what the Cowboys are working with. Because we've seen Dak Prescott have lows in his career when the weapons aren't really there. Before they acquired Amari Cooper, we saw that. Dak Prescott in that offense was not looking good as far as the passing attack goes. And when they brought Amari Cooper over there, it changed that team. And then they drafted CeeDee Lamb dramatically. You remember that? Like, it was dramatic. And then now you get CeeDee Lamb, and you see CeeDee Lamb comes out as a rookie, and he's lighting it up, and you can say, okay, I think we can afford to allow Amari Cooper to, we could trade him out for a 6th-round draft pick at that. I would have took Amari Cooper for a 6th-round draft pick all damn day. I know they wouldn't have probably traded him in division, obviously. But it was a great trade for the Cleveland Browns to get a wide receiver like that of that caliber for a 6th-round pick. But I don't know if Daniel Jones can do what Dak Prescott did, where when you just bring in the one guy, now we can throw the ball. With guys like Slayton on the roster. We can't think about Wan'Dale for next year. You said it. He's going to be out for at least probably 6 games. We probably won't see him until November, the earliest, I bet. Odell Beckham just dealt with that exact same thing. You in a rock and a hard place, man.
Yeah.
You in a real rock and a hard place. I've been thinking about it for nights,
what if you end up winning? It's 5 games left.
More difficult.
5 games left. Let's say you go 3-2 in your 5 games, right?
And then let's say you win a playoff game. Our 5 games are 2 versus Washington, 2 versus the Eagles, and 2 versus Washington, 2 versus the Eagles. It's 6 games, right? Colts and
because you guys
Vikings.
have had your bye already.
Yeah. So I think if you start winning, let's say you make the playoffs, the New York Giants make the playoffs, and let's say you win a playoff game. I think it makes all them decisions that much harder.
way harder.
Yeah, man, because now it's like, what are you going? You're going to just let the quarterback walk that just took you to the playoffs and got you a victory?
Listen.
Yeah, now I see Forever NYG. Shout out to Forever NYG with the old logo too. He says Odell tore his in the Super Bowl, not the same. He'll be back before season. Yeah, we know that. Odell is definitely going to play this season for sure. But Wan'Dale Robinson's not good. He's not going to play in the first 5 weeks of the season. At earliest, you're talking about Wan'Dale Robinson coming back.
Remember, everybody's knee is
October.
different. Everybody's knee is different, and this is coming from a Commanders fan.
Chase Young, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Man, it's such a difficult decision. And like I said, man, I've been thinking about this for nights, bro. I've been like, damn, like, I want us to win. Obviously, you know me, I'm all about them W's. But the front office they're gonna have a task in the offseason trying to figure this out. And when you look at all these draft picks, look at how the Giants just drafted this past year. Like, outside of the first round, it's nothing but injuries. You had the dude, Darren Beavers, the linebacker, who looked really good. He got hurt. Wan'Dale Robinson, he got hurt. Cordell Flott looks like a waste of a third-round pick, in my opinion. People are saying, like, yo, you just got to develop. Man, I've heard this story with cornerbacks in New York for a long time. You remember, I always forget this dude's name, Corey Ballantyne. They were like, oh, he's going to be the steal of the draft, man, late pick. But he's got the speed. Man, that dude never got it together. We're still waiting for guys like Aaron Robinson to make the turn. This draft was not that good outside of the first round. So far. So far. So for me, man, it's just like, man, I don't know what the Giants are going to do. I don't know what they're going to do. In the beginning of the year, you remember I was saying, like, hey, I think maybe Tyrod Taylor could be the better option this year. Emory Hunt came out, and he had that post that a lot of Giants fans hated on, and he said, look, if 3-4 games go by and Daniel Jones is struggling, don't be surprised if Tyrod Taylor comes in. We didn't have to think about that. Daniel Jones came out the gates balling out, taking care of the ball, playing winning football, as my man The Beard likes to describe it as, right? And we didn't have to think about it. And at the beginning of the season, my thoughts were, okay, you signed Tyrod Taylor, you got him on a 2-year deal. I think the second year was an option. But if Daniel Jones completely fell flat on his face, you could go out, draft a quarterback. Tyrod Taylor could come in, and he could be that bridge quarterback for a year. But the Giants are winning games. We started off the season 7-1. You know me, man. I'm not chopping out the legs from the kitchen table when it's a bunch of stuff to eat on it. I just can't. I just can't. I can't do it. I just can't do it. So for me, I'm riding with Daniel Jones. I'm about to tweet out right when we get off this stream. I'm riding with Daniel Jones, and I'm going to at him in it. I'm riding with Daniel Jones until the wheels fall off. Some people had the foresight to see this in the beginning of the year and said, hey, until he's not my quarterback, I'm rooting for him. I'm the kind of guy that's like, I'm going to root for him all the time. If he's starting on the team, I'm rooting for him. If he's on the team, I'm rooting for him. It's why I was like puzzled when people were giving me flack for rooting for Tyrod Taylor. You remember, you know me, I'm always clowning, bro. I said, I'm going to buy me a Tyrod Taylor jersey. Why are you going to do that? Huh? Right? I'm getting all kinds of flack. I'm like, he's on the team. He's from around the way. The jersey looks slick, too. We can't front. That's a nice number right there to have. Tyrod Taylor, one of the best dressed in the league right now. I was like, man, maybe I'll buy me a Tyrod jersey. I like what he's done to represent our area, the DMV, for a while. But, yeah, as my man Benny said, hey, it's Russell Wilson over here, man. It's Giants country.
Listen,
that's right.
You want to talk about problems.
Oh, they got big problems, and they're stuck. They're stuck. But you know what I think they did? They overestimated what they have on the offensive side of that ball, that roster. There ain't no number one wide receiver over there.
They got two solid twos.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm not going I won't agree with you on a solid 2. One of them is a 2 or 3. One of them. I ain't saying who. I'm just saying. One of them is a 1 or 2. I mean, a 2 or 3. One of them, right? And then they traded Noah Fant. I thought that was the biggest blunder of that whole trade.
Yeah, but Dolchich has stepped up fairly well.
He's all right. But Noah Fant was a dog in that offense. And then when you looked at the 2 running backs, we're like, oh, they got the 2-headed horse over there, man. Melvin Gordon, he gets around that goal line, and he's just like, time to fumble. Time to fumble. Coach, I'm going to fumble this one for you, okay? I'm fumbling this. And Jamal Williams, I love him. He's a good back. He can be a great back in the see a lot of success in the future. I don't, when you look at Russell Wilson, you can't look at it like it's completely over. They got him in a long deal over there, big money involved. Yeah. You got to keep building around him. I don't know what their draft situation is looking like, but they haven't won a lot of games, so they're going to have a nice first-round pick.
Their draft is gone.
Oh, they traded the first-round pick for this. But, and I love this topic before we end the show. I want to, Do you know exactly what their draft picks are before I get to rapping about this?
Who? The Denver Broncos?
The Denver Broncos, yeah. Do you know what they have left after they traded off the first round?
This draft?
Yeah.
They don't have a first-round pick.
Obviously. But I'm about to make a point, and I want to see what else they got. Because we got into a conversation, and I'll set it up as you start to look. So I got into a conversation with Entertainer on Twitter where he was saying, the Los Angeles Rams are now about to pay for all the stuff that they did earlier in the year, right? Or that they did earlier with the draft picks during the McVay tenure. And I had to pull up an old stat that I had in the book. The Los Angeles Rams were one of only 6 teams that were over 60% homegrown, all their players coming out the draft. So when you talk about building through the draft, people overvalue first-round picks. Think about how many first-round picks be a bust, be a dud. Look at what the Raiders have been doing with first-round picks for a while, right? So if they do have any capital left for the second, the third round, fourth round, fifth round, sixth round, that doesn't mean that they can't build.
They do have a first-round pick because they traded Bradley Chubb to the Dolphins.
Well, there you go. So it'll be a late first rounder, but they got a first rounder. What the other picks look like though?
They have 2 third-round picks.
Okay.
1 fourth-round pick, 1 fifth-round pick, and 1 sixth-round pick.
There you go. See, I know that this is why they get paid, right? And why I'm not a GM, right? Because, yeah, you could trade all those first-round draft picks, right? Just like McVay has never had a first-round draft pick since he got to the Rams. But when you looked at the roster entering 2021, they were one of 6 teams that were 60% or over homegrown teams because they're building through the draft in the late rounds. Us New York Giants fans, we're not used to that. We're the opposite. Dave Gettleman, and people have been giving Dave Gettleman props, man. Just take them takes and just throw them in the garbage. Dave Gettleman was straight up cheeks, yo. He was straight cheeks for his tenure here. Me and you could hit on some first-round draft picks, bro. They could literally be like, all right, we're going to have you know how they had, I forget the dude's name, Sam Price, right? Sam Price is going to announce the first-round pick. They could be like, listen, man, we're going to have Awthentik and The Beard. They're going to pick the first-round pick for the New York Giants, and we might hit. Kayvon Thibodeau's sitting on the board this year, right? Are we not getting him? Evan Neal's there. Are we not getting? Are we just going to be like, no, we're going to take, I don't know, somebody that don't matter. No.
Matt Corral, quarterback.
Yeah, we're going to go Matt Corral. First round. No, we're obviously not going to do that. So teams can build. Sean McVay and the Los Angeles Rams are the perfect example of building in the later rounds and also not investing in the pieces that are on the team. Look at all the wide receivers that still had talent that they were just like, we're trading you, bro. You're out of here. Brandon Cooks. Remember Tavon Austin? Deep threat for a long time there. They were just like, we don't need you anymore. And there's a slew of other wide receivers that they've done, but they don't do that with Cooper Kupp, right? They were like, oh, we draft him, we keep him. They didn't do that with Aaron Donald, right? They kept the good talent on that team. I remember me and Big Pat were talking about this, and he was saying, man, if you go look at the 2015 or 2016 roster from the Los Angeles Rams before McVay got there, he was like, they had a better roster than what the New York Giants had coming into this year. And I was like, no, bro, hell no. Go look at the roster. They went from a 4-12 team to an 11-win team in one season. McVay got there, 11 wins right off the bat. And the thing that Tanner said that stood out to me in the post was, he said, it's not a recipe for sustainable success. This is about to be the first losing season or not 10-win season that Sean McVay has had since he's been there.
Look at the Green Bay Packers. They're not really necessarily drafting, you know what I'm saying, all-pro, rookie of the year rookies in the first round.
Definitely not.
But, this is going to be their first year without winning 10-plus games.
But they did have the unicorn. They had the unicorn
Rodgers,
quarterback. That's where they had it. And McVay, he used Jared Goff, as like a tool to win games and whatnot, because Jared Goff is like similar to a Daniel Jones. They're good quarterbacks. Do you see it? Jared Goff and Detroit lighting things up. They're good quarterbacks.
Jared Goff, the way he's played this year and last
year.
Love
Jared Goff.
I think he deserves to be a starting quarterback in the National Football League.
Most definitely. You remember when Odell said they sent me to Cleveland to die? I think that's more applicable to Jared Goff in Detroit. Detroit looked awful. And look at them now. Yeah, the record doesn't say so, but they're winning games on a 3-game winning streak, and they surprised a lot of our Giants fans because Giants fans were sleeping on them.
They almost beat Buffalo on Thanksgiving. That would have been a 4-game winning streak.
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah, that's right. They did knock the 3-game winning streak off on Thanksgiving. That would have been 4, yeah. And they were right there. They were right there with a team that everybody had picked as a Super Bowl winner this year. The Detroit Lions hung with them. If they can draft well, bring in some pieces on that defense, they're going to be just fine. But point being that You don't have to get people in the first round of the draft. And to me, I actually think it's more important that you draft well in the later rounds.
100%. I mean, look at. We've had this discussion so many times. There are more players in the National Football League right now that were not drafted in the first or second round than there were in the first and second round.
Yeah. There's a
And
bunch
I mean,
of them.
yeah, obviously there's more
rounds, right?
But there's also more people that are just flat out cut who were drafted in the 6th or 7th round. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
Oh, that's a good point.
Just,
Yeah, because on the opposite end of the draft, yeah, those guys in the 7th round, a lot of them aren't going to really, have sustainable careers.
But
But
most of your
look
guys,
at the Pittsburgh Steelers and how they draft, right? They went
They're
out there and
so
they
good.
took a shot on George Pickens. We drafted Wan'Dale Robinson before George Pickens, and I'm not shitting on Wan'Dale
So
Robinson.
I'm assuming you saw what I saw last night. He was what, the 11th wide receiver taken in the draft?
George Pickens, yeah.
George Pickens.
And look at the talent. You see the kind of catches he's making?
Oh my god.
He had a couple little drops. He's got to work on some things.
Yeah, he's still a little raw. But I
Yeah.
mean, I was telling this to my buddy who's a Steelers fan. I said, and I tweeted it last night too. I said, they got a nice young nucleus offensively over there.
They do, man.
Najee
They do.
Harris,
Yep.
Pat Freiermuth,
Yep.
Kenny
Oh,
Pickett,
forgot about him. Yep.
George Pickens.
Mm-hmm.
You literally have a guy that's in his second or first year.
You know who
At
I'm curious
every
about?
major
The
skill
second running
position.
back they have. Is he a young guy too?
Who?
Was-
Warren.
20,
the guy
26?
was he playing last night?
I don't know if he was playing last night. But
So
he's
Warren-
been the one who's been running well.
That's
when,
that's Warren, Jalen
Yeah.
Warren. He's a rookie, and
He's a
then
rookie.
yeah, he's a rookie.
yeah.
So-
That's interesting, man. Oh man, Benny, I totally agree. Pickens would have been great. And D. Biddle talking about Tyreek Hill was a 5th rounder. You got to be able to draft well in those late rounds, man. You got to. Victor Cruz, undrafted free agent. Darius Slayton in the 5th round. Darius Slayton was a good one for Gettleman. I'll give him that.
Marquise Colston. For those of you that
Colston
don't
was a 6th
know,
rounder, right?
So I think he was the last pick in the draft.
Oof. Yeah, I remember that. I remember Colston was a number 1 wide receiver for a while. He was doing some damage.
He was a dog.
Yeah, he was definitely doing some damage. So for me, it's like, Giants fans have been accustomed to giving the coaches props, the front office props. But also, while we're happy about what's happening, we still got to look at things with a critical eye, like we always do over here. It's why I've always been critical of Daniel Jones. Like, things can be going well. You can try to look at all the positives you want. But at the end of the day, you got to look at when things go wrong in football, how's your team going to react? How's this player going to react? How's this coach going to react? How's this GM going to react? And right now, that draft by the New York Giants is looking horrible. It's looking horrible. You got more players injured out of that draft than we got players that are actually healthy on the field.
The only team the worst drafts over the last couple of years have been the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah. First round, they've been struggling too.
Dog, they don't
and
have.
just coincidence, man, because Ruggs was a player, man.
He was just coming along too. When that
Yeah,
happened.
man.
That draft class, there's not one single one of them from that draft class. That 2020 Raiders draft class,
Yeah.
there's 0 players that they drafted that are on their roster right now.
Yeah, you can't do that. It's very important, man. It's very important that you draft well in those later rounds, man. I'm glad we had that discussion to kind of round things out because moving forward, it's going to be important. I know it's not that important this year, and we're all trying to make this run, but I think that's a good way to kind of, not really have a crash landing
Set
as we
the
get ready
seed.
for this game on Sunday.
Setting the seed, Authentic.
Setting the seed, man.
Seed.
The seed, man. Yep. You got to plant it, watch it bloom, and then maybe it'll bud, and you could be smoking some pack during the season on some, some other teams.
That's why he's authentic. That's why he's authentic, ladies and gentlemen.
Nah, that was a good
man.
one, man. And the chat was booming on that one. The chat, yeah. I like a lot of what the chat was saying on that, bringing up some great points about some players, man, that, you could draft late. Guy like, what's my man, Kelsey, 3rd rounder, I think it was. Darren Waller, undrafted free agent. There's so many players out there. The scouting department is so important, and that's why I don't get paid the big bucks, man, to go out here and try to scout these players because, one, I don't keep my eye on college football as much as I should. And
Sorry, Lalo.
Sorry, Lalo. Sorry, Raiders fan. That's our resident Raiders fan over there, bro. Sorry about that, Lalo.
buddy.
Hope all is well, bro. I ain't talked to you in a minute, man. Hit me up sometime, man. We got to kick it. It's been a while, man. Hope all is well with the family and all that too, brother.
Oh, man.
But good way to
Thursday
round it
night.
out, man. Good way to round it out. Thursday night
ladies and
preview.
gentlemen.
Hey, and you might get a little sneaky video or two. You might get one tomorrow. We'll see, man. I got a couple things on the plate, but if we can knock that out. Oh, we got a guest spot tomorrow that we should be doing too. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Who's the channel? Is George from the Commanders community?
Carmen, yeah. So we'll once we get some information on that, we'll just make sure you guys keep an eye out obviously on Twitter and our community feed on YouTube definitely as well. We always keep you guys up to date on both of those social media outlets.
Definitely. So make sure y'all do that. And y'all know how we end every show over here, man. We try to keep things on a positive vibe. I did see, and I told the Beard, man, this really broke me when I saw this on Twitter, that there was a fellow Giants fan who's a content creator who I'm not even familiar with. But he lost his 11-year-old son in a tragic accident, I want to say this past weekend. So, me and the Beard, we definitely send our prayers out to him. I mean, like, the hairs on my arms are raising up just thinking about having to deal with that. I got my own problems I'm dealing with on my plate, but hearing that news from a fellow Giants fan, that was very unfortunate to hear that, man. So our blessings and our prayers are with him, man. And I'm wishing him strength, man, and my condolences to him, man. Definitely a tough loss in the Giants community. But y'all know what we do over here, man. Keep raising that bar. Keep living those dreams, man, because the universe flows in Technicolor and surround sound. Rest in peace to the podcast GOAT, my man, Combat Jack. Y'all know what it is, man. Enjoy the rest of y'all week here. Make sure to pop up on Thursday. Keep an eye on Twitter, like the Beard said, about this guest spot we're going to be doing tomorrow with George from the Washington Commanders community. And y'all be good, man. Stay blessed. We'll see y'all.
Peace.